Good evening. It is 5:30. It's time for us to begin. It's October the 20th. We always begin our meetings with public comments. Are there any public comments?
Hey,
Yes, sir.
I just had a few questions. If I may.
If you want to come to the microphone,
You can
right
come
here,
to the
that'd be
mic.
great.
Right here?
Or you can sit right there with a mic. You can even have a seat today.
That'd be great, thank you.
Yes.
Is that close enough? Is that on?
Doesn't sound like it's on. Maybe we need to turn it on.
How about that? Okay, okay.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, my name is James Roy, and I've been living in North Little Rock most of my life. I take pride in the city, and I'm proud of the schools and the district, and but I do have some concerns about things that I hear from others about other schools around the country, around the state. And if it'd be okay with y'all, I'd ask these questions. And who would I direct them to? Just anybody up there?
You can ask, but we can't respond.
But I'll take them.
Dr. Plusky will take
Oh,
them.
okay. Well, the first question I had would be, are there any Bibles in the libraries? Would I be able to go into any one of the school libraries and find a Bible?
Again, I'll be happy to, get those.
Oh, okay,
in
okay.
Public comment, it's not a question and
Oh,
answer.
okay. Well, this is the first time I've done this.
It's
It's
so-
okay. It's
But
okay.
I'm just
Happy
kind of
to-
concerned about the situation about some of these schools and some of the things. I hadn't heard anything about our schools relating to some of those things I have heard. So.
We'll take down your questions.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for allowing me to do this. And what about volunteering? If I wanted to volunteer for something in the school, for anything, I'm not qualified for security of, as far as that goes, but anything that, I just want to put that out there.
Sure.
And I'm concerned about any gender confusion material. Since I can't ask the questions, they're all questions though.
Sure.
I guess we're allowed to be in the libraries as public. I have grandkids that go to the school system, so okay. And this education that I'm sure all y'all have heard these things on the television and on the radio about how they are doing this transgender stuff with children and talking about it and encouraging it. I'm hoping that's not happening here. And how about bullying in the school system? We run into bullying as we grow up. We also run into bullying when we get as adults in our workplace. So to me, there's no room for bullying with the adults in the workplace. And what is the policy for bullying for the kids and all that stuff? And there's see, I've heard a certain individual on the radio that's talked about some things, and one of the things that troubled me was something about an open door policy, and what he said on the radio that it was very difficult for that open door policy. For instance, if it was the superintendent, that it was very difficult for him to get to that open door because of so many different channels. Now, I don't know. I'm just going by what I heard. I don't know how y'all work this thing and all, but communication is very important. If the teachers or the parents or just a citizen, and me as a grandparent, if we needed to discuss something with someone on the board or in the administration, I think we should be able to do that without a bunch of complications and a bunch of runaround. I don't know that that's happening either. I just, I hear this. You probably know the guy that I listened to on the radio. I don't remember his name, but he spoke out about some of these things that I'm asking in the North Little Rock School District, and the open door policy is what stuck with me. The rest of it, I heard it, but I listened to it, and I was concerned, but I don't remember none of that was. Everything else the questions that I had are have already been answered by the people that showed up here, so I won't mention that. But I guess that's all I've got. And
Can you
how,
tell me your name again?
James Roy.
James Roy. Can we,
You have an email address or you have a phone number?
I was-
I have a
Oh, you
phone
have
number.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
that's
was-
fine.
Okay,
Have
thank
you, by chance, Mr. Roy, been to the website to view all of those policies as far as safety, security, and all that? Because, and that, plus our email addresses and phone numbers are listed on the website also.
Okay. All right,
So if you just go to North Little Rock School District dot,
Yeah, Mr. Roy, Dr. Hooper, our deputy superintendent's right behind you. She, if after this, if you want to step outside, she'll take all your information, your cell phone number, so we can get back in touch with
Great.
you to be able to answer your questions.
Okay.
and I have all your questions written down.
Thank you. That's very nice. I appreciate y'all.
All right.
And I'm confident that my concerns are just concerns.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I'll call this meeting to order. We will begin with invocation and flag salute. Invocation is by Kai Newbern, 5th grade Amboy, and flag salute Harmony Hunter, a 4th grader at Boone Park.
Would everyone please stand, bow your heads, and close your eyes, please? Dear Jesus, we thank you for allowing us to gather this evening for our school board meeting. Please look upon our school board so they can make the best decisions for our students, teachers, and staff. We may not all agree, but let the conversations be kind and considerate, because we are all our brother keepers. Continue to keep us safe. When we leave this place, may we arrive to our homes to find everything okay. Thank you for all that you have done and will do. Amen.
Oh, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kai and Harmony, are your parents with you? If so, would you stand, please? Thank you. All right, we're down to number 4. Before we do the vision and mission statement, I need a motion to do some moving around on the agenda. If we can move the action item, it was 12.3 to 11.4 informational item. It is the synergistic contract renewal. I had to find it. If we can move it to 11.4 information instead of an action item.
So let me get this so we want to move synergistics from information to action?
From action
Let's-
to information.
Just want to make sure I'm getting my words
Yes,
correct.
ma'am.
Madam President,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
so move that we move 11.4 synergistics contract to informational, not action.
Second.
It has been properly moved that we move on the agenda the action item to informational item, the synergistic contract renewal. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All righty. So now we are ready to move on to the agenda. And the next agenda item is reading of the vision and mission. Ms. Williams, would you do that for us?
Yes. The vision statement is world-class schools for world-class students. And the mission statement, the North Rock School District and the community will provide for achievement, accountability, acceptance, and the necessary assets in the pursuit of each student's educational success.
All right. Roll call of members, Ms. Colquitt.
Dr. Reddish.
Here.
Ms. Williams.
Here.
Ms. Kirsten West.
Present.
Mrs. Temple.
Here.
Ms. Swanton.
Here.
Mrs. McLean.
Here.
Mr. Still.
6.1, school presentation.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, we welcome Boone Park Elementary School and Mr. Orobono. We welcome him, and I know he's got some special guests for us for our school presentation.
Yes, sir. Dr. Reddish, Dr. Paluski, members of the board, good evening. I'm Steve Orobono. I have the honor and privilege of being the principal of Boone Park Elementary now for 6 years. Last year, in our K-1 Purple Pod, we began doing some SEL lessons with our social worker, Ms. Tilly Mitchell. And we had amazing success that we got feedback from our teachers and our parents and our students about how wonderful that was. So this year, Ms. Maddie Barker, my assistant principal, and I, in our master schedule, we created an opportunity for all of our students, K-5, to have the opportunity to have those SEL lessons from Ms. Tilly Mitchell. And this evening, Ms. Mitchell and 4 of our students, Tamia Henderson, Jakia Johnson, Kazi Brooks, and Lauren Hubbard, are going to share one of those lessons with you. So if you guys would come down and join us, please.
All right, Boone Park Elementary School. Give it up.
Do they face?
No, that's fine. Face it. Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we need the audience participation right now. So, Jakia, what do you have for us today?
Happy.
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 All right.
What happens when you get happy? One more. One more. Good job.
Okay, Tamia, what do you have for us?
Show me your sad face. Good job. Tell me what happens to your body when you feel sad. One more. Good job.
Good job, Ms. Jordan.
Show me your mad face. Good job. What happened to your body when you're mad? One more. Good job.
Okay, and Kazi, what do you have for us?
Show me your excited face. Good job. What happens to your body when you feel excited? Good job, one more. Good job.
Okay, so now we're going to do one more quick exercise because I know we have a lot of stress in the world today. We're going to show you guys one coping skill, what we like to call chill skills. Okay, so let's do Lauren. Why don't you go first and show us what the chill skill is you can use?
Belly breathing? Okay, let's start. Let's practice. One more.
Good job. Okay, let's do one more. Jakia, what do you have for us?
Counting. Let's practice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Good job.
Good job. So now to finish off, we are going to show you guys, or we're going to do our fresh cheer, is what we have at Boone Park. And Lauren is going to lead us in that fresh cheer. We're going to do it twice, and I hope you guys can participate and get it down too, okay?
Way to go, Boone Park. If the parents would come up with your children. Good job. Next, we're down to 6.2, special recognition, Mr. Dustin Barnes.
Salam, can you join me? In the North Little Rock School District, we've had some of our teachers earn the title Arkansas Teacher of the Year. 1972, Judy Horn from Pikeview Elementary. 1981, Jenny Harrison from Amboy Elementary. 1982, Sue Perry from Old Main High School. 1985, Elfrida Marshall from Park Hill Elementary. 1990, Jan Scholl from Northeast High School. 1997, Elizabeth Fulton, North Little Rock High West Campus. 2010, Vandy Nash from Indian Hills Elementary. And now we can add the year 2023, Caprice Salam, North Little Rock Middle School, 7th and 8th grade campus. Ms. Salam, we are peacock proud to have you in our midst as our 2023 Arkansas Teacher of the Year. This is the hardest secret that I've had to keep for a while. We had to keep it secret, of course, until the formal announcement, which came last week, and it was at a surprise Spirit Assembly. The Education Secretary, Johnny Key, surprised Ms. Salam with the title Teacher of the Year and a $14,000 check. She owes me lunch. And she will now compete for National Teacher of the Year, which that process, if you follow us on social media, that process has already begun. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Salam, and I told her to have some tissue because I know she gets emotional. Okay.
Just to prove it, I'm going to hold it together. Okay. So good evening, everyone. Dr. Paluski, Dr. Hooper, the board. Thank you all for coming and being able to celebrate with me. It was definitely a secret and a surprise. My husband was able to hold on to that secret all week. And I told him we have some things to discuss in our marriage. But I am most appreciative of everyone for all their support. The committee did an excellent job at the Night of Honors, recognizing building level teachers and just celebrating educators in a time where we know that education is not a field that is over staff, we can say that. So I'm appreciative of everyone. Thank you all for celebrating with me. I'm happy to represent all of the amazing educators that we have in the school, in the district, and now in the state as the 2023 Arkansas State Teacher of the Year.
Are your parents with you?
No, my parents are not with me, but my mother has already texted me for the evening. So my parents are still residents of Helena, West Helena, and so they were with us on FaceTime, and they're ecstatic, as well as my siblings are.
Oh, very good.
Sure.
Age before beauty.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You get in here. Let the experience in here. Feel this. Okay. This is so beautiful. You look good.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Dress up when I know I'm seeing you.
Look at you.
I ran into a young lady today that asked me, did I know Miss Dorothy Williams? And I said, of course I do. And she said, she would keep everybody in line with that bullhorn going down the hall. Do she still have blue nails? I said, baby, yes.
Okay.
6.3, Parent North Star Supporting Teachers Achieving Results Award, Ms. Crystal Barker.
All right.
And while you're up there, so just go ahead and do the Great Rising Adult.
Yes, ma'am. That's what they just taught us, right? Good evening, Dr. Paluski, to our board, to our community, parents, family, and friends. The Indian Hill staff would like to nominate the Allen family for the District Family Parent Award. The Allens, Emily, Russ, Jared, and baby sister Gemma, joined the North Little Rock family in August 2019. Jared was excited about school. It was his birthday. Mom, Dad, baby Gemma walked Jared to his classroom on the first day. The Allens were excited and couldn't wait to get involved in the school and community. On June 19, 2021, their lives were forever changed. Jared Allen was involved in a tragic drowning accident. He gained his wings and went on for his eternal heavenly home on June 20th, 2021 at the age of 7. To say this was one of the most difficult things they have ever faced is an understatement. Each day brought different emotions, but they allowed themselves to ride out whatever wave was handed to them that day. Their prayer as Jared's parents is that they would find joy amid the pain. Jared, G-Man, had such a tender, loving heart, especially for the needy. One day he gave his mom $8 to hold on to and give to someone in need. But unfortunately that day never happened for their sweet boy. Then one afternoon while going to lunch with her dear friend Ashley, Emily could feel the nudge saying, give this gentleman Jared's $8. So she did. Miss Allen carries items in her car to give to the needy. The ideal of blessing bags came to her, and she thought, what better way to serve others and honor her son? The light shined, and their prayer had been answered. This is one way we can find joy amid pain. Indian Hills Elementary has teamed up with the Allen family to provide adequate health and hygiene products for the community. Some of these products are collected at our school. The Allens create blessing bags and then pass them out to churches, the homeless, or just to whoever is in need. To kick off this school year, the Allens offered an incentive for the grade level that collects the most donations. They are forever connected to our school. They continue to volunteer when needed and will help when asked. Our mission, along with the Allen family, is the Project 8 will help those in desperate need of a blessing. We are extremely grateful to have the Allens in our school and community and look forward to our partnership with them for years to come. The Allens partner with the church and help provide back-to-school supplies for elementary schools around the state. Providing these supplies keeps their sweet boys' love of school and others alive. The children that benefit from this will always have an appreciation for the Allen family. The Allens have gone above and beyond, not only for our schools, but for the North Little Rock community. Their willingness to help all people in need of love and support is why we believe they should be awarded the Parent of the Month award. Providing these materials help remind them and us of sweet Jared and this kind and compassionate heart. We at Indian Hills now know that Jared is smiling from above with pride, not only for his school, but especially for his parents as they continue to honor his wishes for those in need. Help me salute our October 2022 Parent North Stars, Russ and Emily Allen. H Street Baptist Church has been and is a beacon of light serving the 72114 community for the past 3 years by providing meals, school supplies at 7th Street Elementary, honoring all of 7th Street teachers' wish list, bottled water to Meadow Park Elementary, over $600 worth of female products to the 7th, 8th grade campus, supplied elementary schools with sanitizing wipes, backpack for the homeless, community gas giveaway, paid mortgages, rental assistance, and the list goes on. Early this month, the city of North Little Rock woke up to a tragedy in the 7211 zip code at Shorter Gardens Apartments, which resulted in the death of 12 families displaced, and over 45 people who lost everything. 3 pregnant mothers due within 30 days with children from age 1 week to 16 years old. North Little Rock School District leadership was on site within the first 8 hours, supporting our families and residents affected by the explosion. In my haste to bring order, I noticed this tall woman moving through the crowd, doing as we all were, trying to take care of others. Our recipient and I made eye contact, and she asked, "What do you need me to do?" I asked, "Can we open the church as a meeting hub?" She jumped on the phone with Pastor Wesley, who was boarding a flight, and he gave her all clear. It was then I was able to direct all displaced families to a place to sit down. Children could lay down and receive lunch and get the immediate needs taken care of. Randy Box, Stacy Smith, and Kathy Hill helped to secure and to support. We were able to complete Red Cross assistance, get the clothes van on site, feed the families, get needed prescriptions. North Little Rock School District counselors were able to provide services as needed. The work has not stopped. The mayor's office, city assisted with lodging. Community people came by, took families to Walmart. Many moving pieces were able to happen because of the centrally located area, 8th Street Baptist Church. When American Freight on Warden Road donated $40,000 worth of furniture, North Little Rock School District and 8th Street Baptist Church connected again. North Little Rock School District Maintenance Department picked up the furniture. Our recipient opened the church doors again. Our recipient and church are not new to this, but they are true to this, serving others in a year of restoration. I felt she would be the ideal October recipient. She has that spirit of the man that this mentor was named after, Dr. Scott A. Tyler. Every morning her phone ring and mine would ring. She would say, "Crystal," and all I could hear was, "Great Rising." Our recipient of the October Great Rising recognition is the business operation manager of the 8th Street Baptist Church under the leadership of Pastor Jamil Wesley. Help me honor Rosalind Miss Roz Washington.
That's always the best part of being on the board. So now we're down to business. Please join me in executive closed session to discuss employment, appointment, promotion, or resignation of an employee.
about the bottom line.
We are back.
Keep on.
We're down to 8.1, board member involvement. Let's see. I was a little busy beaver this month, this section. Let's see, 9/29, I attended the School Safety Fall Institute Leadership virtually. The 9/26, I went to the Leading POCs district-wide in Benton with Dr. Paluski and the team. Let's see. I went to Crestwood Luncheon, and so I want to thank our, what do you call them? Chaperones of the
Student ambassador.
student ambassador. That's the word. Thank you very much. We had Ellie, we had Reed, JP, and Kenya, and they gave us a great tour and kept us on path. Believe you me, when it was time to go to the next room, it was like time to go to the next room. So they kept us on path. And Tuesday night and Wednesday night, I attended virtually the forum, and it was really good. Thank you for the information.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I have.
I went to the North Little Rock School District Retired Employees meeting where Chief Fink spoke to us and presented about the safety and security plan for the district, and that was well received by all of our group. He did a great job. And I also went to Crestwood and enjoyed that spaghetti lunch with garlic bread. And I'm just gonna tell y'all, Doc Williams got 2 pieces of garlic bread. And they were great little ambassadors that took us around, and we got to visit with some of the teachers there. It was really great. And then the virtual town hall last night. It was really good. Thank you for your presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else?
So yeah, Crestwood was very enjoyable, and yes, Reed, Ellie, Kenya, and JP were excellent ambassadors. Oh, I thought there was something. Okay, and then also shout out to Miss Daisy in the whole lunchroom crew, because they had tea, unsweetened, sweetened, and I love my tea. And they had water set up, so we didn't have to drink these microscopic juice boxes. The 2 town halls this week, which were very informative, I would encourage all of the parents to jump on whenever we have those, because it's a lot of information packed into a short period of time, but it's really good information. So I would highly recommend that. And then it seems like I'm missing something, because that's it.
Did you do that school board presentation that they had online? You did.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
September.
yes. We did. Yeah, I was like, it's something I'm missing. Oh, we had a online school board presentation. So, and
Conference.
yes, was able to take part of that.
All right.
And I think that is it.
Okay. You didn't did Susan?
Yeah, I was there for all y'all. And I showed up.
Well, last week was very busy with Dr. Paluski. Retirement teachers, trying to encourage getting them to be volunteers with the teachers. And we came up with a phenomenal idea with Miss Valerie, that all the new teachers in the district, that we as retired teachers would give them notes of encouragement to try to maintain retention. And so that was her beautiful idea. What we'll do is, she said, rather than trying to mail letters, we just take it and put it in the mailboxes. And that would make it more feasible.
It's a great idea.
And so as retired teachers, we're going to do that to let them know we care about them. Don't, the first 9 weeks may have been a struggle, but we're behind you 100%.
Yeah.
And then 2 nights in a row, Dr. Paluski did a phenomenal job. And we want to thank you for that, the vision. A lot of people had questions about Old Main, and he gave us 10 things to think about Old Main. And that was a good thing because the survey will come out to our stakeholders that they will have the last say. And then the board would simply approve what the majority asked for. And so, very beautiful, and I've enjoyed working on the board. And I did go to all day long from 8 to 3 with the Arkansas School Board Association. If you're tired of zooming, Dorothy Williams is. We have zoomed out during pandemic, and so, but we're still doing a great work, and thank you, Dr. Paluski, for all you do.
And let me jump in and say, because we forgot our Boone Park ambassadors, and they dressed so nice, and they were so sweet. And I can't remember all their names, but I want to say I was so impressed with those children that day.
They were, you played jacks with them.
That's right.
And real quick, what has been surprising to me is that the school lunch is actually really good.
And I asked.
And I ate it.
Right, and well, the director, she has met us in all the schools.
At all the schools.
And I asked her if she had prepared these meals because we were coming. But the students said they really had nice meals every day. So that's a good thing.
So when they tell you the school lunch is nasty, it's really good.
It's good.
Yeah. Shout out to Miss Dennis.
All right.
Superintendent?
All right, I'm going to go fast, Madam Superintendent. September the 16th, I hosted our E for the Future Superintendent Advisory. September 19th and 20th, I attended the National Superintendent's Forum in Dallas, Texas. On September 21st, we hosted Take Your Legislator to School. We hosted Senator English, Senator Chesterfield, and Representative Scott and Representative Wing. In fact, we had a principals meeting that day, so they got to mingle with our principals. It was great to have them. Dr. Redis mentioned on September the 26th, leading district-wide PLCs, Dr. Redis, myself, Dr. Hooper, and Mr. Smith. On 9/27, attended the State Innovation Rally, which was in Hot Springs. On September 27th, Chief Finks and I and Chief Tesson kicked off our School Safety Task Force with each member from our community, or represented from our local boards. On September 28th was the Boone Park Luncheon. Thank you for that, Ms. Temple. On the 28th of September, we've launched the Superintendent Spotlight Series, which is a series that we showcase programs and initiatives. That's been a lot of fun. On September 30th, I had an opportunity to be on a podcast series about leadership here in Central Arkansas. On October the 4th, we hosted, Ms. Barker and I did, our parent advisory meeting to get their feedback. On October the 4th, as Ms. Barker mentioned, my staff, as well as myself, were down at Shorter Gardens that day, meeting with our families to make sure that they understood that our North Little Rock School District is here not only for our students, but our community. On the 10th, Ms. Colquitt, my colleague, and I met with the LPPC about board docs and our policy. You'll be hearing a little bit about that. Met with the Ford, Dr. Hooper, Ms. Jordan, and myself met with members of the Ford NGL this week. We had our luncheon on October 12th, which was at Crestwood Elementary School. On October 12th, I had the honor to throw out the first pitch at the Boys Baseball Fall World Series. I was honored about that. We can't forget tonight, October the 14th, we were all at the 7th and 8th grade with elected officials and Secretary Key to officially congratulate Ms. Salam on such an awesome award. So proud of her, so proud of the school, and so proud of our school district for that. Let's see. On October the 14th as well, I attended the superintendent luncheon of Central Arkansas superintendents. We met at Jacksonville High School with my colleagues. And the last two nights, October 18th and 19th, we held our two virtual town halls talking and discussing about the vision, the future vision of the North Little Rock School District.
Awesome. All right, we're down to number 10, CPPC monthly report and LPPC monthly report. Is there a report from the classified personnel?
I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Smith.
There is no report from the classified personnel. I did get the blessing from the new chair to take you guys through the approved minutes from September for LPPC, though, and those are linked into the agenda. Good evening, everybody. I missed that part. all that being said, so on the agenda, new officers were voted on at the first meeting. Then we had a decision on vacant positions was item number 2. Somebody had turned in their application late, but it was voted on that we approved the individual because there was nobody filling that particular spot, so we still had open spots. We had the conversation about the 23-24 calendar, which will be presented to the board this evening. There is a new process of getting minutes approved because there was such a lag time last year. We addressed that issue, and what was decided upon is that we would vote on it in person. And so at each meeting, the minutes from the prior meetings will be voted on in person to approve and then get placed on the agenda. Record keeping, that's just a little form and fashion, but we're going to use Drive this year instead of Google Classroom. There was some clarification questions about the recruitment and retention resolution, and then we set our upcoming meeting dates as indicated below.
And Mr. Cobb has arrived. He's running right from a parent-teacher conference, which is, Mr. Cobb, welcome.
Absolutely. Take it away, sir. I just walked him through the different items on the agenda, but if there's any points of clarity you would like to discuss in those individual items.
None that I can think of.
Well, can you introduce yourself
Yes.
to us?
Hello, my name is Justin Cobb, and I'm the newly elected chairperson for the LPPC.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
I've been a teacher with North Little Rock for about 10 years altogether.
Very good.
Awesome.
Awesome.
And where did you teach? Did
I
somebody say
teach
that?
at the North Little Rock Center of Excellence.
Okay.
I teach math, geometry, and pre-calculus.
Okay. Very good.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Any,
Anything else you gentlemen want to?
If there are no further questions.
Ms. West, you have any questions?
I don't.
Ms. Wonkum?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Williams?
No,
Ms.
very
Duncan?
good report.
Welcome.
Very good report. Thank you.
Very good.
That was easy.
Good job, Mr. Cobb.
Are your parents here?
We're down to informational items. The first one is 11.1, the 2022-2023 North Florida School District Fall Interim Assessment Update.
So, Madam President, members of our Board of Education, as my colleagues are entering to present tonight, we really want to discuss with you our fall interim assessment data. If you remember back in August, we shared with you our 2021-2022 ACT Aspire data. I do want to let the public know, as well as the board, that privately we have received our ESSA School Quality Index and our letter grades. However, we will share that as soon as the state releases that data, which we anticipate will be mid-November. And then we will come before the board and be able to share that information and unpack that as well. But I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues. They'll introduce themselves, and we'll take a little sneak peek of some of our beginning assessment data. Turn it over to Dr. Hooper, Mrs. McNulty, or...
Well, good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Paluski. So this evening, we are here supporting Ms. McNulty, who is supporting our assessment and accountability for the school district, and Ms. Jordan and I are going to be here to fill in any questions you may have.
So good evening, Board President, members of the board, Dr. Paluski. It's great to be here again. And today we are going to talk about our fall interim assessment data, which is our first checkpoint to see where our students are, especially after summer break. So I would love to sit down and actually share some information with you. So let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, so if you take a look above, this is our objectives for today. So really, I'm planning to give you a quick overview of our NWEA assessments data, talk about our participation for testing this year, which was pretty impressive, looking at our district comparison to national norms, and then we'll talk a little bit about our fall RIT scores, as well as some historical data that we were able to analyze, and last but not least, talk about some ACT projections based upon our current data right now, and then look at our recommended next steps. So to begin with, I wanted to share with you that NWEA, when we talk about it, it stands for Northwest Evaluation Association. And when we talk about measures of academic progress, this is just an opportunity for us to really look at how our students are growing and also looking at their achievement percentile. And so this assessment is computerized. It's also adaptive, meaning that once the student answers a question, if they get it correct, it bumps up the level of rigor and gives them more challenging questions. And if they do get it wrong, it brings it down a little bit until we get to their zone of proximal development. It is on time, so they have as much time as they need. And it also provides data for our teachers so that they can use that to really drive instruction in the classrooms. This test is given 3 times a year, so fall, winter, as well as spring. And this time around when we gave the assessment, we took it during the mid-September period, and typically it takes about 3 days to administer, but we do open the window a little bit longer to make sure that we're able to do makeup assessments based upon students being absent in different circumstances. So as I shared with you, this year we had some really good participation. And I have to thank our administration staff, our teachers, our test coordinators, really putting together a plan to really make sure that we are testing as many students as possible. And so as you can see, with our elementary data, we had 97% of our elementary students tested. And for middle school, we had about 96% tested, and then high school about 86% tested, which is great. Now, our goal is to continue to make sure that we hit 95% for all, grade levels. And so this is the work that we're going to continue to work on. But really a good start and pretty excited about it for right now. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our data. And when you look at this information, you can see the 3 subject areas that our students took the assessment in. So you'll see the reading data above. You'll see our math, and then you'll see our science. When you look at the data, I want you to look at the first line, which has our grade levels that were tested. And then below that, you'll see the national achievement norms. And then what you'll see on the next row is the grade level norms for North Little Rock School District. And so as you look at this data, one of the things that I want you to be aware of right away is that our K through 2 students take the assessment, but the assessment is actually text-to-speech, so it's read to the students. And so with that in mind, I want you to look at that data and see that our kindergarten students, when they enter, especially for reading, they are right where they're supposed to be in accordance with the national norms. We look at first grade, and we start to see a little bit of break away from the national norms, so looking at a rate difference below the national norms of about 2.8 RIT points away. And then when we look at second grade, we see that grow a little bit more to about 4.55 RIT points below the national norms. Again, what you'll see, and we highlighted this for you because I think this is essential when we think about our 3rd grade students and the need for them to read by that grade level. This is where we see the biggest hit. We are 11 points away from the national norms. Part of what we have to recognize is our students are missing some foundational skills that we are aware of. And also the students have to read the assessment now on their own from 3rd grade through 10th grade. And so that really does impact, their performance outcomes. And so as you look through 4th grade through 10th grade, what you'll see is that we are falling within about 7 to 10 RIT points away from the national norm. In 8th grade, they're about 11 points away from the national norm. Looking at math is the next area. Again, you'll see similar trends. We're entering with our students kindergarten, seeming to be on par with the national norms, and then we're seeing a RIT difference of about 2.8 away when we look at our students. And again, 3rd grade hits, and there we see that gap again, growing even more. 5th grade hits, we're looking at 13 points below the RIT norms, 18 and 16 and 18. And I guess one of the things that I really wanted to point out to our board is that one of the things that we do have to question when we look at this data, there's a lot of things that we can consider. Is it that our students are struggling to read? Is that why they can't access the material? Is it that there is a math conceptual difference that they're not able to grasp? But really, in reality, I think it's a combination of both, not being able to read and still lacking skills for mathematical concepts, understanding. Yes?
What is RIT?
RIT, great question. So RIT is just, it's called the Roche unit, but basically what they do is they take the raw scores and turn them into scale scores so that we can compare students across the state, across the nation, and also just look at their data over times. So that's what the RIT scores are.
What does that stand for?
Roche unit of measurement. Yeah, it is a very complicated term, I'll tell you that. But it basically gives us a lot of information, and it allows us to be able to compare our students and have that data to compare with the rest of the states. Thank you for asking that question, because I know everybody's like, what is RIT? What is RIT? All right, and so science is an area that I will have to share with you. We did much better in this area, and as you can see, while we're still below the national norms, it's not as significant as you see for reading and for math. And so again, we're looking at typically a RIT difference below the national norms of anywhere from 5 points to 3 points. And so again, this is our overall data when we look at our national norms and looking at our district overall data as well. This chart here, when you have an opportunity, it lets you go into the link and really look at individual schools and see how they performed. And what I'll tell you is that really the data that I gave you ahead gives you a good idea of how our schools performed. There are a few schools that did perform above the national norms, and those schools are Crestwood and as well as Lakewood. But when you dig into their data a little bit more, what you're able to see is that while they are still performing above the national norms, disaggregating the data tells us that there's still some holes to fill when we look at our subpopulations. And the schools are really quite aware of the data and really are anxious to address all of those. And so we've had some great conversations, and I think our professional staff is really, really excited about the work ahead of us. It's gonna be challenging, but they are taking it well, and they are asking questions and making us proud. So I believe there's some good things to happen as we move forward. So at this point, this is our priority schools. We've talked about the importance of understanding that all of our schools are priorities. However, when we look at our data, these are schools that are in need of additional supports. And so the first school that we're looking at, as you can see, is Amboy Elementary School. And again, you can look at the data and you can see that while taking a look at kindergarten, for example, for reading, we're starting at a RIT of 2.5, negative 2.5 below the national norms. And so one of the things that we wanted to point out is typically in kindergarten, we saw that we were right where we were supposed to be. And so what you'll see with some of our schools is there's a lot of commonalities with the schools that need support and how our students are performing. So you'll find that kind of commonality as we move forward. So again, you can see how we did for reading, how we did for math, and you can see why we chose these schools as schools that we want to give more supports to. Boone Park, similar situation as you look at our data and where our students are falling. As you can see, as we progress, that gap is still there for both reading and for math, and there's some things that we definitely have to do to support our schools here. Glenview, I will say similar data as well, and please feel free to stop me if you want to ask questions as we dig in. But again, you'll see those commonalities as I shared. And Ridge Road as well. 7th Street Elementary School. And we've also decided to support the North Little Rock 7th and 8th grade campus as well, as we can see that they are also in need of more supports as well. So let's talk about historical trends. If you look at the link above, it allows you to drill down a little bit more and look at the 4-year analysis of what our risk scores have looked like and In being able to read the data and take a look at it on a deeper level, here are some of the findings that we have. And so just quickly sharing with you, in reading, what we were able to find is that generally 3rd through 7th grade, reading scores were impacted by our pandemic learning loss, which we're all aware of. 9th and 10th grade did have an increase in RIT through the fall of 2021. However, due to actually having a rise in students taking the assessment, we did also see a decline. And so as we proceed forward, I'm hoping to see that we capture a true image of how our students are really performing. And for math, what we can see is that K through 2 generally has increased from the fall of 2019, and 3rd through 8th grade, there was a consistent decline, but again, attributing that to the pandemic learning loss, and also, having some more supports that are needed, especially for our curriculum, and that work is already in process as we speak. For fall of 2022, we also did something a little bit different with our high school and middle school students. We made sure that they were able to take content area assessment based on the classes they were taking. And so they were able to take assessments such as Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry. We really wanted to measure, how they were progressing in those classes and give those teachers an opportunity to really understand how students are performing and how they can use that data to drive achievement for our students. And for science, we are able to see that there was a moderate to slight decline in our risk scores. Again, attributing that to the pandemic learning loss, but we're seeing that it's climbing up. So again, this is the area we seem to be performing better in. So moving forward, this is our ACT Aspire projection. So let's say if we were to take the ACT Aspire September, which is not appropriate because students have not had any instruction. But this projection, which is about 84% correlations, as ACT has done some Lincoln studies, allows us to have some ideas for us to think about where our students are, school to school, and see where their performance levels are, and so that we can think ahead about what the things we need to do to support and to make sure that we actually continue to grow our kids so we have more students actually meeting for ACT Aspire during the spring time when we take it. And so what you're able to see from this data is, yes, we do have a large percentage of students in the need of support when we look at our math. But we also have a good chunk of students that are sitting right there in the middle that are close. And then we're able to see our students who are ready and exceeding. And so overall, this is not the data that we would like to see. This is the work that we are intentionally looking to improve. Summer loss is, quite clear. It's not as significant here, but you will see that in reading we had a significant learning loss, looking at about a 6.6% difference. But nonetheless, this is information that we are introducing our teachers to, our administrators to, so that we can pay attention to all these pieces so that we can mitigate it as we move forward. Yes.
The total number of students was really low. What happened?
It is because we are only, while we test K through 10, the ACT Aspire is only for students in 3rd grade through 10th grade. Okay. So that's why the numbers are low. And also on this report for high school, because we gave a differentiated test, we don't have all the high school numbers for math, but we do have all the numbers for reading.
Okay. Well, it said if they're K through 12, so
yes, yes. And because we're projecting it for ACT Aspire, and that's for only 3rd grade through 10th grade, that's why the numbers are lower. Okay. That's a great observation. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so if we overlap that 38.8 on the math, and if we overlap that with the language arts at the 51.2%, do we have the data that tells us that that's one child that is lacking in both, or do we have the data that just...
We can actually break down the data. So what NWEA actually allows us to do is there's a student profile report that actually gives us a complete picture of how the students are performing. And with the Lincoln study, there's a button that we could push that tells us how many points they are close to meeting ACT Aspire. So we can actually see which students are going to actually meet ACT Aspire benchmarks, who's not, and how far they are away from meeting it. And teachers are to use that data to inform and guide them, and so that we can get them to that next category.
Okay, so in the event that I myself as a student is
Mhm.
lacking in both areas there, what does that mean? What does that look like? Like in a school day, does that mean you're pulling me out and I'm getting one-on-one? Does that mean
Great question.
I'm
And
getting
I'll
put to
chime
the
in
She's
for
gonna
that
go
one.
ahead. Yep,
Yeah.
great
I
question.
can
I'm gonna
chime
let-
in.
mhm.
Okay,
I'm
no,
sorry,
and
I'm
it's
good at
fine
that.
because that's the work that we are supporting our leaders and our teachers in. We're really pushing in for small group because
There we
that's
go.
low-hanging fruit for our teachers as well as our students. We know right now we're not doing after-school tutorials per se because we want to be intentional when that occurs. So right now, for example, today, all of our elementary schools were invited to small group professional development in the morning because next week that is the expectation that we see that in the classrooms, and then they have to track that specific data as it relates to each individual student based on their needs. So yes, that is a great question.
And so the teachers have the resources and they know how to access that information.
Yes, and actually it was a packed house today, and Miss Marla Edwards is back there. She was teaching away. Miss Carmen Langston.
I heard a few
I
of
mean,
them over at the high school.
yeah, it was. I mean, but everybody was teaching everywhere today, and that's been through the work of the entire team, ensuring that we are working and looking at the trends and what our data is telling us, so that we can support our teachers.
And that work will also occur in their PLCs, which that has been occurring in our principal meetings, and that should also be occurring within the school day at least once a week with teachers by grade level or by content. So that is a learning resource for teachers and leaders as well.
Okay, very good. Okay.
Great questions. Yes, Dr.
Well,
Williams.
my question is, I was trying to understand the data the way it's here. Like I look at the high school, it said 10, 10.
Yes.
100%. So explain that to me, please.
Yeah, that 10, no, the 10 as far as for, let me go back to,
Talking about the math.
yeah.
ACT expired.
Yeah, you're like, where are the students, right? It's because we broke up the assessment, and so this time we gave the assessment focusing on their actual classes that they're taking. And so the assessment, in order for us to get their ACT projection rate, we're gonna have to give them what they call Math 6+, which tests like some areas such as geometry, some math, some algebraic thinking, all those pieces. But what we decided to do is instead of giving them a lower test, we're going to actually focus on the test that they need based on the classes they're in. And so therefore, there isn't a projection for them. And so that's why there's only 10 students there. But we do know how they performed, the ones that are broken up into the correct content area. Great observation. That number, yeah, we were talking about it, and it's a little confusing because not all the kids are there. So overall, here's our recommended next steps. Really, I think that there's a power in making sure that we capitalize on instructional time in the classroom. So making sure that our teachers are using every bit of time we can to provide that support for our kids. We're also having conversations and data talks and making sure that our professional staffs, from our leaders to our teachers to our students, all understand what data means and how, how we need to utilize that in order to improve the work that we're doing. We're looking at school improvement plans and also goal setting. And the goal setting piece is really for individual teachers and also school levels for them to look at what are some trends they're seeing and how we can attack those so that we can help our school move to the next level. And then again, continuing, as Dr. Hooper said, and it was really all hands on deck at this point, looking at how we're going to provide those resources for our staff and moving them to that next level. So those are the recommended next steps, and I believe Ms. Jordan is going to share a few more things.
Good evening, Dr. Redis and board members, Dr. Paluski. Thank you for having us here this evening. You do know that the Office of School Performance, I'm speaking on behalf of Ms. Lightfoot tonight. She's not able to be here. We're doing very similar work in what we do in our roles, both elementary and secondary. I know a lot of the data you saw was elementary based, but secondary also has areas of concern, so we're working in tandem. What we do is intentional K-12. So we do have implemented in all of our buildings non-negotiable items, things that are required, and we've listed those there for you, from things like what lesson plans look like to having learning targets on the board, interactive notebooks and how they're to be utilized, small group instruction you've already heard about. These things are not options, they're things that should be in place in each and every classroom in this district. We do have consultant work that's happening as well, and I know you're probably aware of that as the board. Dr. Perlman and Dr. Snow have both been here already multiple times. Dr. Snow was just here most recently working with targeted campuses so that we can provide that additional support. And then we do instructional walks, and they're wonderful. We just did one yesterday at 7th Street. I went in and observed, because we're going to be replicating that process at the secondary level. So what we do is we go into a classroom as a small team. There's a curriculum department. We're all together, and then we go in and we're looking for these non-negotiables. We're looking at instruction. We're looking at classroom management, whatever we may be needing to put our eyes on. Then we come out and debrief. We talk about what learning points there might be from that observation. And that's happened now, I believe, 3 times at the elementary level. Principals are going on those walks, so there's training for them. Ms. Lightfoot modeled the first one, and then the principals and the leaders of those buildings are then doing it on their own, and then we're going to replicate that up into the secondary as well, and we'll be starting that next week. Yes.
And hands go up.
This is a praise. Yeah, I'll take it all.
Ms. McLean.
This is just a question I wanted
I
to
was-
ask, Madam Chair.
Ms.
I'm
McLean.
sorry, I didn't see you.
That's okay.
Forgive
Ms. McLean.
me.
She can go ahead.
You
Go ahead.
go
No,
ahead.
go-
You know I love
I'm
you.
going down here and I'm making my way. Ms. McLean.
I just want to make sure that I understand. You're taking classroom teachers into model classrooms?
Okay, at this time, no. It is the instructional leaders. So it would be, Dr. Hooper, Ms. Lightfoot, and myself, the curriculum team, coordinators, possibly the MCLs in the building, those that are in leadership positions to watch classrooms.
So is there
And I was gonna say, and
The
the
next step.
principal, and if there's an assistant principal, they're with
Yes.
them as
Yes.
well, as they're trying to coach them in what to look for, so they can give adequate feedback.
So there's not anything in the plan for teachers that could go and observe?
So we do have some model classrooms that we are working with the curriculum team on. Let's identify model classrooms at each campus to see for example, what does small group look like on pre-K through 12? What does small group look like in 3rd through 5th? So we are trying to identify model classrooms at each campus, because there are some. And we want to be strategic with that, because we want to ensure that everyone is learning correct practices.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Temple?
I don't have any questions right now.
Ms. Williams?
I just have, this question is, the high school is in block scheduling, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How effective is this to try to get those classes? You could spend more time on academics, they get more time on athletics than they do in academics. And I'm asking you because you all are in the buildings and you see it, and I can't see any consistency. We just implemented block scheduling 3 years ago.
Okay.
Without a purpose and no guidelines, number one. And I'm asking you, what significant value is block scheduling? Because to me, if we're gonna improve our students academically, seemingly, those teachers should have been taught, but they weren't, instruction they know how to teach, but when you got into that block scheduling, it was a different scenario. That's what I'm saying. How can we academically sound improve the high school when you're doing block schedule, you're doing this day? I've been through that, but I'm just asking you because you all are in the classrooms. Do you see, is it better every day, or is block scheduling every day? The reason I have concerns because we're taking care of the 9th graders now. We got them set, okay? But the 10th, 11th, and 12th, and we're trying to maintain graduation of our students at a high. what can we do as a board? What do you feel is feasible? And an honest question, please. Understand?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Williams, and I appreciate the question. I know our data tonight didn't address that specifically, but I think it's a valid point. I know that whenever you're evaluating any kind of system that you're putting in place in a school, whether it be an AB block schedule, we're going to institute an intervention time, we're going to, whatever the case may be, we've got to look at the data, what it tells us about how effective it is. I know that I'm more than willing for us to take a look at that as a school district. I can attest that Dr. St. Louis and her team of administrators are focused on excellent instruction. And we had an online meeting today. We had a Zoom. We do a check and connect each week. We had to move it to today from yesterday. And that was one of our points. We talked about the evaluation system. We talked about who's assessor. We talked about what are we looking for. These pieces are parts of that puzzle, but you can't not talk about it in regard to the schedule as well. Because as you know, if you're in a block of 80 minutes, that is intended to be 2 days worth of content. And so I know that we continue to look at all of these data points, and you'll hear more when we get those ESSA reports as well, is are we moving in the right direction? Does the data show that that's the case on this schedule? And I'm hopeful that when we get to that point and you can see that data, it will help better answer that question. But I don't mind us, unfortunately, the time that you didn't have a block schedule and the time that you did are different students, and additionally, and most importantly, a pandemic occurred in the meantime. So the data is a little bit skewed in terms of if you were looking at, 2019 or 2018 versus now, even if you've been on the same schedule, you would have seen a slide in the data. That's true across the nation and probably the world. But very fair point, and I would be more than happy for us to do a little bit more analysis in that area.
Okay, this is a question. Oh, I just want to say I'm not sure the 3-4 years, that was in
Yes,
another
ma'am.
superintendent's administration. But and Dr. St. Louis only been here for like 2 years, and she's really getting in to things.
Yes.
And I guess that is something that you all need to discuss, what she has seen as a principal being there, and I know with help coming in now, that's a difference, that's a big help to her, a school that size, but I just want everybody to be happy, the students as well as the teachers, feeling successful.
Yeah. Yes,
so
ma'am.
they, graduate. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely, anytime.
I do just want to add, Ms. Williams, and we're going to have our high school, we're going to talk about career academies in a moment, but I do know, to answer some of your question, that one of the focuses that Dr. St. Louis has had is to ensure that there's proper professional development for her staff on how to teach on the block. And I know that's been a big focus of the high school because that's a lot of time. Right. And it's not, we want to be using and maximizing beginning of the bell to the end of the bell, that it's not, we're going to spend 40 minutes just doing homework. And I think that's an area that they've recognized to tighten up and to support our teachers, because it is a large amount of time.
It is, and maybe if it's her recommendation as principal to go back to every day, that's something the board would need to look at to help her. All teachers can't hold 80 minutes. Discipline problems, but whatever suggested from her, and she's the leader of that school, and she can come to you and tell with the team that you all got, because I think it's something you really and truly need to look at. Some people can't hold order for 80 minutes. Let's be for real. Teachers have not. Some of them can, some of them can't. So, but I'm supportive of whatever you all decide to do. And thank you, Dr. St. Louis, for thinking about it.
Thank
Sorry,
you, Ms.
Rob.
Williams.
Ms. Wincom?
I think we answered all my questions. I'm still thinking it through. It was a lot to download. That was a lot of information, and I think you've hit most of the points, but we'll talk Monday.
Sure.
And if you have any questions, just reach out. I'll be more than happy.
Ms. Person West?
Well, I want to go back to when you were talking about instructional walks and looking for specific items. I guess what I'm envisioning is you're like picking out certain classes. It's not like aha, got you. You just kind of go in there and just kind of say, okay, today we're looking for X, Y, and Z, and then that's what we seeing if that's what's occurring in those particular classrooms, right?
Well, first we have to begin with the resources that we have in place that we invested in. And number one is the pacing calendar. are we pacing? So that's number one. Number two, are the lesson plans that teachers have submitted, are they aligned to the pacing? Because what we're noticing is that some teachers may be 2 weeks behind. So again, to ensure that we are aligned to the pacing, it's not a got you. Principals know we're coming. Usually they give the staff, forewarning. So it's not a got you, but it's to support where they are in the work so that we can leverage where they are to ensure that they do get on target for pacing. Another item that we look for, the anchor charts that they may have posted around the classroom, is it a reflection of what should be taught during that time? Everything has to be aligned so that students are supported to the fullest. So therefore, we're looking for, the walls, all 4 walls within a classroom. We're looking, what is the teacher doing? What are the students doing? Is it whole group? Is it small group? Is it being targeted? So we're looking for a plethora of things, but we're trying to give principals the lens to be able to communicate the feedback and for it to be effective for teachers to get to that next level.
And I can't remember what slide it was on, about, where we had, it was set up to where they're going kind of down the line or whatever, very close, so
The projected,
okay.
Close, ready.
So I guess what we're looking at is maybe for those particular numbers to kind of trickle on down, possibly
Yes.
each year, and
Yes.
then we know where we stand as far as right now, and then just moving the needle on down. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure I
That-
understand that the way you all.
Absolutely. The goal is really, we want to grow all students.
Yes.
And so, yes, you're reading that correctly.
And in some of these areas, shocking, that it wasn't, looking at this, it wasn't as bad as I thought. Yes, we need a lot of work. We have a lot of work to do. And, but I, am confident that since we have a team in place, y'all will help get us there. But it wasn't as bad as I thought. And that's good. But that means that we are gonna move the needle a little bit further on down the road. That's all I have.
Ms. Wong?
I'm sorry, so to follow up, Dr. Hooper,
Yes.
what you had just said about lesson plans. So if I'm a teacher, do I turn in my lesson plan to like my principal? Do I turn that in to y'all? And then if you do that, is that every teacher turning in a lesson plan? From
So
every
secondary looks a
school?
little bit different because
Okay.
some of the content they submit maybe a couple of weeks at a time.
Okay.
Elementary looks different just because of where our elementary campuses are, so theirs are posted on the outside. So as we're doing these walks, I can grab their lesson plan, look on my phone to see the pacing, see if it's aligned. But they do submit them to the principals. The principals have a drive. We can go in and just peruse through them just to see what the running themes are throughout our district. But it's a work in progress. We're not here to say, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. We just have to see what these themes are that we can do quick fixes to ensure that we're getting to the level of instruction that we need to.
So, and I'm assuming we're looking for all of us to be on the same page.
Yes.
So we all want to teach the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s.
Correct.
Okay, just making sure that we're all, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the 3, 2, 1.
So that means that
Oh, now we all have hands, I'm sorry.
everybody's lesson plan basically is the same.
When you say the same, it looks different on secondary that it may look
But
on.
it's consistent.
Correct. We're looking for the standard, not just the resource in a lesson plan. I have to see that the resources that they're utilizing is aligned to the standard that should be mastered from the students.
I take it there were follow-up, Ms. McLean?
When a teacher does their lesson plans, can they go back in and edit the lesson plan?
For sure. It's a work in progress.
Like daily, they could go in and edit?
Yes.
Okay. And then we talked about the instructional walks, but in the weekly board report, I saw you were doing calibration walks or calibrating walks or something like that.
Calibration walks. So the difference between a calibration walk, the first step is the calibration walk, and we do them in small teams. So the first one that we did, it may have been 4 principals. After that, after they've been trained, you calibrate to ensure everyone is seeing the same things, we're articulating the same practices that should be communicated to the teachers. Then after that, a week later, remember, we have to inspect what we expect. Then we're going to do an instructional walk which occurred with 7th Street. So 7th Street had their calibration walk with Meadow Park, Glenview, and Indian Hills. That following week, we went to Meadow Park. The next week, this week, we went to 7th Street, which was yesterday, and did an instructional walk based on this is what you were taught, you know, in small group with your colleagues. Let's ensure that you have went and taught your team at your campus so we can hear that it's trickling down.
Thank you.
Ms. Dimple, did you know?
Yeah. Is your goal to be in every classroom, or you just?
We try to. Of course, that's not going to occur, but we try to make maybe like a 2 or 3 minute walk. It's just a snapshot. We try to hit, you know, new teachers, whatever the principal may put on our walk list. Sometimes I'm like, I need to see this particular teacher. If this teacher is struggling, to see if they have been supported. If you have followed through on some expectations that I wanted to see from you as the leader to ensure this teacher is being supported. So it's a combination. I might want to go into a STEAM lab, you know, to ensure they're being supported in the ancillary or enrichment.
Okay. Then I have just one more question. I don't know exactly how to ask it, but I know we changed the way we do grading in elementary, so they're getting needs them like
The numbers.
basically to follow this. They need support, or they're almost there. So it's numbers and not grades.
So
right?
if I'm not mistaken, it still remained the same because we were tackling so many things.
Standards-based.
Correct. I believe it's like that from kinder through 3rd, and then 4th through 5th is
It's
letter
still-
grades.
Correct.
Okay, well, I guess what I'm kind of wondering is because as a parent, I'm looking at the report card and I'm thinking, okay, my child's getting all A's, but there's a whole bunch of them that are close and they're not. I mean, are the grades, the information getting back to the parents, does it reflect what's actually happening, or is it skewed? Because in the past, it's been very skewed. So I'm wondering where we are on that. Do you know, is that part of the process, or is that too far down the road?
No, that's a work in progress that we're still, because the principals brought that up along with the teachers when we were vetting pacing and all of our curriculum documents out. So we need to ensure that we're aligned. So I definitely hear what you're saying, but that is a work in progress that we're still working on.
All right.
Did you have a follow-up, Ms. Williams?
I just want to say, since I'm hearing all of this, and this is really wonderful, and you got them 80 minutes, I have to go back to that. Are you all going in them classrooms? That's to help Miss Dr. St. Louis out there. I mean, new teachers, and I heard what she said, she's trying to help them. But with a new teacher, all the new teachers we got, and they got 80 minutes, and they just walked in, how's it going, Dr. St. Louis? That's what I want to know.
Well, I know Dr. St. Louis. Well, I was going to say, she has her own cohort of new teachers that she meets with as their own professional learning community. So she's supporting them specifically and differently even than just the regular teachers. So I know that that's definitely being addressed by Dr. St. Louis.
They help, because I could just
They get
see
extra
it
help,
off
yes,
the
and they all
wall
have to have a
right now.
mentor, and they have to do additional training. And yes, that's exactly right. And I'm glad you're thinking of it, because we do have an inordinate number of new teachers, K-12, pre-K-12.
Ooh,
And
in
so
80 minutes, what
that's
they doing?
I know. So that's a focus of all of the principals.
That's very good, and Dr. St. Louis, you are wonderful, okay? Ooh, 80 minutes.
Ms. Markham? Ms. Markham, did you have any more questions?
I'm all set.
Ms. Person West?
I'm good. Just good job. I love the report.
Yes,
it's a
good job.
lot of information.
Good
It's,
job.
you know, and it's
You
I
are
gotta
so
go back
smart.
to kind of go back and read.
No
some of this
problem.
and
We just want to make
digest it.
sure we were complete in sharing
Yeah, yeah,
all the information.
Well, Dr. Natalie, that you are so smart, and thank you.
Thank you for all the
Any
information.
more questions? Can I ask one more
Dr.
question?
Natalie.
And Dr. Jordan,
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to know, I know that you're trying to calibrate and you're doing these instructional walks with the leaders. So how do you see, after that has occurred, how often are we going to have people going into the classrooms continually to make sure that that happens, so that they don't go till March and then somebody else walks into their classroom again? Is that something that's going to
No,
be happening?
the expectation is that you're in every classroom every week, and you should be tracking that data so that it's done equitable. You don't want to go in and not provide that feedback. Of course, you know, it's some downtime. Let's give them some time to show some progress. You'll peruse through there, but
the goal is to have an open door policy so they feel comfortable with you coming in, and it's not a got you, you're gonna get all this, marked down. No, I'm just coming in to ensure you're good. Okay, did you implement this during this time? But I understand what you're saying. Like, you go in, you give them the support, and then you don't see them for maybe a month or two. That's not acceptable. So,
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Ladies.
Good job.
Good job.
They know what I meant. Same thing. All right, 2023, 2024 school district calendar options.
9 months. Thank goodness all alternative. Okay.
Good evening, everybody, again.
Bonjour.
Yes, ma'am. So tonight I come before the board, Dr. Paluski, Dr. Redis, to discuss the calendar options for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. And so our legislature was quite active last year, and they changed some things up. If the board will recall, last year we had the availability of those options, but not till around March, until the legislative session transpired. So we decided to push pause, stick with our traditional calendar last year, but we said that we would come back this year and give a full breadth, deep dive discussion as far as what the options are going into next fiscal year. And so that's what I'm here before you tonight for. So the purpose is to inform the school board of the choices about the type of calendar, and they should be deliberate and enhance learning and achievement both inside and outside of the school building. And so some of our priorities at the district level is we're going to be very PLC driven. That's one of the big pushes of the administration, is these professional learning communities, so that all the things you just heard, that collaboration with teachers, us aligning everything, we need time to do that, and so we are looking for a calendar option that pushes that. And so those 2 bullet points, PLCs, will improve teacher skills and knowledge through collaboration, study planning, expertise exchange, and professional dialogue. And then we will improve the educational aspirations, achievement, and attainment of all students through stronger distributive leadership amongst teachers to improve rigorous, relevant, and innovative learning. So with that being said, these are the 4 calendar types available for next fiscal year, and these are the Arkansas Code annotated statutes that define these. And so what we have is a traditional school calendar, which is much like we were on this year. We have an alternative school calendar, which is hour-based. We have a 4-day-a-week school calendar, and we have a 12-month year-round school calendar. And so I'm going to walk you through each one of the different calendars and discuss the different nuances within each. So the statewide information system is Ms. Hale. Ms. Hale's been in front of you all before, and this is the information system that the state of Arkansas houses for all everything that is basically data. Our cycle reports that we often discuss in finance, human resources, all the above, that is what the statewide information system works off of. And so with that being said, each school district can only implement 1 calendar per fiscal year, and that must be entered by the Cycle 7 report. If you'll notice at the bottom, the calendars must align. 9 through 12 must meet the clock equivalency of 120 clock hours for a Carnegie unit, and districts also must provide daily recess consistent with that Arkansas statute. So we do that now, and that's what we will discuss. 190 days is a basic teacher's contract, which is what that middle paragraph discusses, but the way to view that is there's 178 student contact days embedded in that 190-day basic teacher contract, and so that is a term that is defined by the legislature, but a basic teacher contract, keep in mind, is 190 days with 178 of those days being direct instruction with students. So, traditional school calendar. This is what we are on currently. As I said, the 178 days is embedded up there in the first sentence. Every day, students receive at least 6 hours of instructional time, okay, 30 hours per week. We go above that. If the board will recall, whenever we came and had the discussion about the early release days, embedding those in the calendar, the time above that 30 hours is time that we bank weekly, which is how we were able to release early on a day, but you cannot roll it over from week to week. It is literally that 30-hour window. That being said, everybody's familiar with this. I'm not going to have Mr. Nannon bring up the North Little Rock School District calendar since you guys are fairly used and accustomed to it, but if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer it. Otherwise, I'd like to go to the new options. Okay, so the alternative school calendar. 1,068 hours of instruction. If you take 178 and multiply it by 6, you will get 178 student contact days times 6 hours, which gives you 1,068 hours of instructional time. And then 30 hours of makeup hours at the end of the year. So if we have inclement weather days, you'll see those IW days on our calendar currently. That's the 6 times 5 calendar days with 6 hours of instruction daily. So what this calendar allows you to do is you are able to shave days off based on your student contact time. So if you bank that hour and a half a week, like what we were discussing with our early release days, those would roll over now from week to week to week. And if my math serves me correctly, it would be something approximately 8 days is what you would save through the course of the year with an hour and a half banked weekly. So this is continued, but one thing that is of note in this calendar is the district is not allowed to use AMI. This is the only calendar you cannot have AMI. So if the board will recall, when we had the snowstorm, we missed 8 days and we were able to pivot to a virtual learning synchronous asynchronous environment, and we were still allowed to use those days. Under this type of schedule, if we had that same occurrence, we would have to make those days up in some form or fashion, whether that's extend the school day, whether that's go over some breaks, whether that's attacking it on at the end of the year, but that time is not allowed to be virtual, synchronous, asynchronous. It would have to be made up. Ms. Williams?
Oh, I just want to know, there's 4 schools, we read it, but is this something that we'll have to vote on, the choice? Something that we've never done before?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's why I was concerned.
Yes, ma'am. We have a process. We're going to discuss it as a team. Yes, ma'am. We're bringing it to the PPC committees, but this is just your 30,000-foot view to let you know what options are available to us.
Okay, it's something we've never done. That's why I was trying to understand it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Will you bring one up? So Texarkana is on this calendar this year, and this is what this looks like. If you will notice the days of essence within this that immediately jumps out to me, very beginning of the year, those are professional development days. So you can see their 8 days that I said we would save through our contact hours. They pretty much embed those on the front end where we have 3 PD days at the very beginning of the year and 1 embedded throughout the year. They stack all of their days saved on the front end. So there is a 2-week window where you have teachers all day, every day, and that is prior to the start of school. Yes, ma'am.
So would there be an advantage to doing it that way where our teachers can get their rooms ready where they're not off the clock? Would that be an advantage?
There is a great deal to discuss within each of these, and so there are nuances that we'll get into, but for me to be able to say, yes, that's the advantage based on balancing it against something else, I'm not at that point yet. We need to have the conversation not only with you all, but with the community, everybody to see what works.
I'm thinking surveys are gonna go out, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm assuming you're gonna talk to the LPPC.
Yeah, it'll be, when we get to this, that's what Mr. Smith is, we're in the process right now of having this conversation with the LPPC so that we can work together before we even get here to look at some options. Then, as I promised you, that once we have a couple options, we want to survey our parents and to see where they are, and then to bring that to you all for a final vote sometime in January.
Just an observation that I noticed.
Absolutely. Okay. Any other questions on this calendar while we have it up? All right.
And this is not a year-round school district?
No, ma'am. This is an alternative calendar is the definition.
Right. But alternative meaning they are still out of school in July.
It's very similar to ours as far as the start and stop dates.
Okay.
But remember, the big thing
It's
is
just
if
if it
we had a
snows.
major snow event, we'd have to be, cutting those days back. That's,
We're going to school till 7.
yeah.
Or we'll go
To
back
July.
to old school days where we tacked on days at the end of the
end.
school year.
Correct.
So you're gonna send this out to the community, these 4 alternatives for school?
So we haven't exactly defined that plan as far as how we are going to survey our community. There's more pieces of that, but we're going to discuss that as an executive team and decide how we're going to do that. Obviously, our community and our stakeholders are going to be at the forefront of this conversation.
Now, I was just wondering why the changing from the traditional and, we're trying to, and our students aren't where they need to be.
That's right.
why I was asked the main
That's right.
question. That's what I'm concerned about.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
And
ma'am.
you're talking about 4 days and alternative and not doing 12. We so far behind academically, that's why I was asking you the questions, nothing. I appreciate the information, but I was just saying, you're doing your job,
Yes, ma'am.
okay?
4-day-a-week school calendar. So you guys remember that magic 6 hours of instructional time? This is really nothing more complicated than adding an hour and a half to each day. And that hour and a half each day, 4 days a week, would save 1 day a week. So going from 6 hours to an hour, 7.5 hour day, you would get the same amount of instructional time in the 30 hours in 4 days as opposed to 5. AMI is available through this. Districts that are using this, Mayflower is on a 4-day-a-week. Palestine Wheatley, there is normally a 5th-day educational option for students to provide academic interventions, enrichment activities, and access to services, etc.
Where's Wynn located, Mrs. Smith?
When?
Wynn School District, you have it on here, home of the Yellow Jacket.
Yes, ma'am.
They are on this same thing.
Towards Brinkley.
Yeah, it's towards Brinkley. I'm not.
Halfway between here and Memphis.
North of Forest City.
Yes, ma'am.
North of Forest City.
Oh, what's the population of that school district?
I don't have a clarity on that.
No, the reason I'm asking, when you bring this material back to us, I want to compare the urban and the, maybe this district is so small, we have to actually weigh our enrollment compared
Absolutely.
to, like, when you say Wynn, I know good Wynn ain't got no 8,000 students.
Yes, ma'am. No.
And so what I'm saying is when you bring us examples, you're trying to give us a sample, bring something that's equal to us,
So-
then we can be more objective.
Yes, ma'am. To your point, Ms. Williams, there is not really big school districts
I
that
know
have
not.
picked a
That's
4-day.
right.
And so for me to find an example, they just don't exist. And that's the same thing with an all-year calendar as well. One thing that I can go ahead and speak to now is that if either a 4-day calendar or a year-long calendar were chosen, there is a requirement by law that you must send that information out to the community for feedback.
Okay.
We're planning on doing that anyway for whatever we choose, but with those two options, there is that requirement. Continuing on with the 4-day week, this is just an example. Palestine Wheatley is also a small district, but this is the way it looks. As you can see, some weeks they have, some months they have Fridays off, other months they have Mondays off. And so the blue is days off, and that's just how they're structured within this particular district.
Do they have they talked about or shared how they do daycare? What do they do as far as childcare on those days that they're not in school?
The only individual that I've spoke with in regards to that was Mayflower, and they just discussed that there was an educational care option. They did not define whether that was through the schools, whether that was through a subsidiary, whether that was a extra pay associated with teachers doing that. I mean, they didn't go into any of those details. I just know that the options I have seen, with the exception of, I believe it's Western Yale, is the only individual that I knew or had found out about that went to a true 4-day week where students and staff are not present. Okay?
Okay.
And then the last calendar option is the 12-month year-round school calendar. And there's still 178 days embedded in this. It's still 6 hours. AMI is still available. Really, there is just more extensive breaks. And so with that being said, the caveat is that you can't have a summer that lasts more than 7 weeks when is on this option. And so the best way to look at this one is to basically view it in action. All of the red days are days in which the individuals are off. And so you can see how extensive those breaks are. You pretty much in last week of July, you get started with kids. You go for about a 5-week period, and then the breaks start. And you don't go more than 3 weeks without having a break embedded somewhere in there. And so you have a fall break, that's a full week. You have a break for Thanksgiving that's a full week. You have a full 2 weeks in December. You have a full 2 weeks for spring break. And so there is a lot of time and breaks embedded in this piece where, it raises concerns just as much as it does offer those supports. And then at the very end of the year, of course, you kind of finish like you started with a little longer stretch. Are there any questions?
Not any.
All right.
I have
Yes,
maybe
ma'am.
more of a comment than a question, but when we look at these things, I mean, to me, how is that going to affect student achievement is like number one for me. And also then the effect on the community with child care. I think that's going to be very important with those. But I did look up, trying to find some research on pros and cons of all these things. And for example, some districts found that it saved them money, and then other districts found that it cost them more money. So I don't know, I think we have to really look at our community and our students to see. But I know this is going to be something we'll be looking at over time this year. So
Yes, ma'am, and it's still very much so in its infancy. I mean, individuals that were on it have only been on it for a year because it's only been an option for a year. And so we're still in the very young stages of this. So my pros and cons, just as we saw them, and I've discussed this with the executive team. I've kind of had a conversation with the two PPC committees loosely, but and they've seen some semblance of this presentation. But a traditional schools calendar, familiar, standard week, standard breaks, keep AMI, parents, community, everybody's kind of used to it. Alternative school calendar, possibly good for morale. There's a loss of instructional days, approximately 8 days as I discussed, but there's also that no AMI option. 4-day-a-week novel may be good for morale. You can still keep AMI, so that's not an issue. That 5th day of educational option has the possibility to be good, but it also creates community issues, child's care, access to services, all of those things. 12-month year-round school calendar, novel, possibly good for morale, lots of breaks, continuous learning, keeping AMI, but still, again, community issues, childcare, sports that go on, travel sports during the summer. I mean, there's just all sorts of things that I'm sure will be brought up in the discussion piece as far as how people view it from their individual lens. So this is the required DESE timeline. I show it to you, but I ask please pay attention to the asterisks at the bottom. So we have to have a calendar submitted by May 1. We need it done much, 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 much earlier than that for extended contracts and all of those things. And then by August 1, the district calendar is posted on the website. The superintendent plans to recommend the 23-24 district calendar by January 19th of 2023, which is fairly in line with whenever we normally recommend it. It's somewhere in January. So with that being said, are there any questions?
Ms. Person-West?
Yes, I would, and I know you say this in the infancy stages, but I would really like to know specifically with all 3 options available, like where or has, once the end of the school year finishes for the other school districts that are now trying this, like, where do they stand academically wise? Do they see it going up, going down? Do they see, you know, I would be concerned with some students, maybe since they have a longer break, they, you know, have more time to kind of do some things they probably shouldn't do. Little ones, how does it work as far as childcare? And have they, you know, all the flipping and flopping, do they remember when they're supposed to go back to school? Which week they remember to go back to school. So I would be interested in seeing those particular items specifically.
Yes, ma'am. I'd be more than happy to reach out on those back-ended items.
Right.
I'll have to talk with the executive team and Dr. Paluski to see how we would look at achievement, because the achievement will not culminate until almost the end of this year. We won't get the scores until next year. And so we'll have to see how we end up, I guess, in regards to all that. But that's a conversation piece. We can talk about that. We can also look at other states as well that might have been using this to see how they've done.
Yeah, especially like with a school district around our size.
Yes, ma'am.
To see how they, or either, you know, I'm sure Dr. Paluski can reach out to some superintendents who may be on that or using that particular schedule, but I would be interested especially to see, like, did you see like an improvement, or did you see pretty much the same, or did you see anything go down, in what areas?
Ms. Wonkum?
I'm gonna wait on the surveys to see what everyone and anyone wants to say and what their opinions are, but can we pull eSTEM's calendar as well? And I say eSTEM because I know they're a charter, but I know they're local, and I know that they're doing this year-round school, so that's why I'm interested to see what they're doing versus what our parents may want and desire.
Yes, ma'am. I'll put that on my weekly board report.
Ms. Williams?
Yes, I want you to tell me the act law of why we had to do this, so when somebody asks me the question, why you are doing this, would you give me the law for it?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
I can give it to you now.
Okay, that'd appreciate it. Hold up. I need a pen.
It's on there.
Very important.
It's on there.
You got it already in your packet.
It's in the presentation.
It's in the presentation.
Oh, it's in the presentation?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna look for that, cause somebody gonna ask, when you start doing that, well, I got it, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all, so the question could move on.
Yeah, he's got it. It's
Oh, it's
page
down
4.
there. Oh, okay, up there, traditional. Now, you're missing a point. I know on that, I was asking you, when did the state mandate it? I was looking for the date.
Oh, I apologize. Yes, ma'am.
I knew that was there. I'm talking about did the state mandate that we do this?
Yes, ma'am. So what I will do is I will get the dates associated when those specific Arkansas Code annotateds were passed, and I'll put that in my board report as well.
Right. That's all I need, because people, I want to be saying, well, you know, it passed, because I'm talking to intelligent people.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now,
Is it mandated that?
No.
Is it just it's an
It's-
option
it's
for
an
us?
op- yeah,
just
it's an option.
Correct.
that's offered to us that we can
Correct.
consider, correct?
Correct.
It's not
Correct.
anything we
Correct.
have to do, it's just, these are
Correct.
options that we can look at.
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Ms.
Any more questions?
My thing is, I want to wait to see what the community say, because my personal concerns is gonna always be childcare and what happens to the babies when mama got to go to work, and you know, and that, and so I just want to see it now. If the community is okay with it, Rochelle loves it, but if the community is squawking about it because it's not my child, then I'll squawk about it.
Yes, ma'am.
thank you for a good report, Mr. Smith. And I just want to say too, good report, and you're gonna find that info format so then I can speak, be intellectual astute when I'm talking about the changes that have been presented before us. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. We're down to 11.3, annual report to the public. Mr. Dustin Barnes.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, I welcome our colleague, Mr. Dustin Barnes, our Coordinator of Communications, to give a high-level overview of our annual report to the public.
All right, good evening, board members again. I want to come to you talking about our annual report. This is something that is mandated by the Department of Education for our accreditation. So this is a report that we have to present to you all, and it will be posted on our website under state required information. So this is just an overview of that information. So this annual report will look at data and all from the 2021-22 school year. And so you'll see figures and enrollment information, all of that from the last school year. So we're looking at our district student profile. That's the total enrollment from the 21-22 school year on the last day of school. So I looked at the last day of school. The previous school year was May 27th, so I got the numbers from that day. And if you look, it shows the demographic report breaking down our demographics, and of course we have a diverse student body in the North Little Rock School District. So the last day was 8,139. I think we're up a little bit this year, so that's good news. Next slide here talks about our employees. From the last day of school, I have 1,257 employees, and then it's broken down by classified and by certified. We had 31 national board certified teachers. Of course, you know that's a very well-respected title. A lot of rigor it goes into teachers to get that type of certification. So we want to celebrate those individuals. Average teacher salary. So this is getting all of the teacher salaries and just kind of dividing it up by all of our teachers in our district. And just some highlights there. You all approved the additional COVID-19 resolution. Thank you. That was given to employees on June 2022. So there was the June 25th check. And then, of course, we know about the $6,000 recruitment and retention compensation that will be distributed to employees over the next 2 school years. This is financials information, so this is Mr. Brown if you got some questions, but I'm just reporting what he told me. So this is our district operating budget from the 21-22 school year. This is $115 million. And then we broke down the federal program allocations. So it's Title I, II, III, and IV in recent immigrant. That federal program allocations is highlighted, is hyperlinked, so you can see what each of those the meaning of those title funds. So Title I, you know, it has to depend on the economic status of the students at the school, free and reduced lunch. Title II, Title III, and Title IV. So that's, if you want to spend time with that, you can go back and see what those budget streams are and why we got those. Child nutrition, of course, you know that we are a CEP district, community eligibility provisions, which means that all of our students in the school district, no matter their household income, they eat free, eat breakfast and lunch free. So that's something that we can celebrate here in our school district. Just a recap of what happened in the 21-22 school year. North Little Rock High School and COE students earned some recognition from the College Board National Recognition Programs, and we also had some students, we had some students recognized this current school year as well, so we're continuing that. You all approved the superintendent's recommendation for the central office reorganization plan, phase 1, to drive student achievement and to assist classroom teachers and administrators. You also approved the reorganization of the safety services department. North Little Rock High School varsity cheer, girls basketball, and varsity boys basketball team won the Class 6A championship. And you know that the cheer and boys basketball team, they were 2-time champs. So they were defending champs, and they won it again. And Nick Smith Jr. and Khalil Ware were McDonald's All-American, earned McDonald's All-American honors. They're doing well at their respective schools right now. Nick is at Arkansas, and Khalil is in Oregon. And we're the first, if I'm remembering correctly, we're the first school in Arkansas to have 2 players named at the same time. So that's a attribute that to our athletic program. More happenings. Indian Hills earned a Red Ribbon Week grant to try to, and I think we're in Red Ribbon Week this week, coming up on it again. So that was about a year ago. Just talking about drug awareness and saying no to drugs. 7th Street Elementary, they got national attention. They reached out to us. Just the rarity of having 9 sets of twins on campus, and you know that during that time, Mr. Collins was expecting twins, so that was just, it's just a lot going on there. Don't want to drink the water over there. North Little Rock School District launched the 2nd chapter of Dads on Duty. You may remember the story last year in Shreveport, Louisiana, where there were some dads who saw a problem in a school, and they said they wanted to go in and change the trajectory of the school, and it was documented success as a result of their intervening. So they came to Arkansas to talk about that, and we started a charter here in our district. You all approved a resolution to seek partnership funds for the new middle school campus. That's very exciting. So we hope to hear more good things about that this school year. And then we voted to make masks. You all voted to make masks optional on March 3rd, 22. Talking about the class of 2022, 489 seniors. They had over $3 million in scholarships. They're going different directions as far as post-secondary. They're in armed services. We had 2 honorary graduates from Germany and Turkey. That's exciting. And then this class was able to relaunch the senior breakfast and senior walk. Hadn't done that since 2019, of course, because of the pandemic. So that was exciting to get that started again. Board of Education, this is talking about your training hours. As you all know, that you have to continue this, do this every year from the Arkansas School Boards Association. So we get this report every year, and I just included that in here as well. Coming this year, improved results on standardized exams. Of course, Ms. McNulty and the Office of School Performance talked to you about what we're doing, what they're working on, and so we want to see the fruit of their labor. We know that there will be fruit from their labor this year, so we are expecting great results, improvements on the standardized exams. Dr. Paluski has been in discussion, of course, the last 2 days, talking about the new vision, new mission, and strategic plan and core values. Of course, we're going to be launching that early next year. And then we know that the School Safety Task Force has been meeting, and they're going to be making recommendations to the district about ways that we can increase safety across the district. And here's some job security here. You just can't hide that Charging Wildcat Pride. I'm gonna sing it. Long as the quarterback's singing, I'm gonna sing it too. Are there any questions?
Ms. McLean? No. Ms. Temple?
Good report. Thank you.
Ms. Williams?
I don't have a great report.
Thank you.
Ms. Walker?
It is a great report. Hunter, can you go back to page 4? I just want to highlight something.
Okay.
Justin. So,
Come on with it.
okay, we are doing COVID pay for our teachers, right? Yes?
Yes.
Page 4. And then we're also doing a bonus. So come December of this year, they're getting a bonus. Come June, they're getting a bonus. Come December, they're getting a bonus. And then again in June in 2024, they're getting another bonus.
Yes, ma'am.
Just want to project that.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Say that one more time.
Thank you
As
for that.
retention stipends.
Listen, it's a bonus. They're getting their money.
One more, and I just want to go to slide 4.
Can we just stay there?
So, yeah, it was a great report.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job, Mr. Barnes.
Good job, Mr. Barnes.
Thank you.
I like to see the-
Dressed up to
Thank you.
Make the report. You look nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Look
Is your parents here?
Thank you for the diversity that I'm
Your dad's
seeing
specific.
in the photos. Awesome. You are doing an awesome job, and I
you.
just wanted to say that.
I appreciate it.
Good job, Mr. Barnes.
You are everywhere. You make it
like
happen.
His father dressed like that.
He's gonna start blushing
Yes,
here
we
in a
do
minute.
know.
11.4.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, welcome. We don't necessarily have a presentation, but I know Mr. Brown, and I know we've got some guests here from Synergistic that he will introduce and turn it over to him. And I know that if you have any questions, we're happy to answer any questions.
This is informational piece, right?
Yes, ma'am.
This is, yes, we took it from action to informational, yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Paluski, Dr. Paluski. So we're going to talk about the Synergistics renewal contract. And I have some data that I'd like to share with you about the program. And we do have some members from Synergistics here that I can invite up and help me answer questions.
Go ahead and invite them up and introduce them, please.
Okay, all right. We have Ms. Piper Ezel from, she's Vice President of Operations with Synergistic. Carrie Duggar with the HR department, and Robert Glover is our energy specialist. We have all three of those members here from Synergistic. So if you'll look at the information that I've prepared here for you to review, there's an energy program update where we have, since the inception of the program here, we've had 2.24 million cost avoidance, and that's the savings that we have generated overall since the program started. If you look at the utility spend in that cost per square foot area, we had $2 million in overall utility costs in our base year in North Little Rock. And over the last 12 months, our overall utility costs have been 1.6 million. So that's an annual savings of 410,000 there of the annual utility costs. And you can also look at the bottom line, the bottom area there with the energy that's not being used, and that's charted monthly since the inception of the program. So that October, that first October is October of 2018. Oh, I'm sorry, that is not since the inception. That, oh yes it is. So the different colored lines are, year 1 is the blue line, year 2 is the green, year 3 is the yellow, year 4 is another blue line. Or at least it is on my copy. My printer may not have gotten all the colors in there. And then on the second page, if you'll look there, we give you information on the audits that have occurred. And this is our energy specialist, Mr. Glover, has conducted 1,486 audits of North Little Rock School District buildings in the last 12 months. And that is, you can see in the pie chart at the right, that's 971 visits to classrooms when they're unoccupied. And you know, that's really the time that we focus on earning, you know, the savings. When people aren't there and things aren't supposed to be on, we make sure things are off. So that's one of the main goals, is to make sure an air conditioner's not stuck running, or a heater's not left on, or you know, something is draining energy from the program. A fan's not running.
Like the air running right now because it's cold.
Okay.
And then in the center, I want to point out the energy use intensity, that EUI. That is basically an index measure that's been developed. It's and it combines all energy uses: gas, water, electric, and that's an index that's been developed to measure the efficiency of your building. So the base year that we were in the program, we averaged 41.9 EUIs, and currently we're averaging 26.7 EUIs. Then we've got cost avoidance. We've got that mapped out from year 1, 2, 3, and 4. So year 1, 426,000. Year 2, 554,000. Year 3, 687, and year 4, 573,000. And that was over a 9-month period. So that's sort of in a nutshell the program. I've got some other information that you're welcome to look through on the program. And if you develop questions on that, or if you have questions for tonight for us to answer, we'll attempt to do that for you. I also wanted to give you, if you look at the back page, I figure this may be a question that some of you may have. So, we have savings, but we also have operational costs involved with this program. We pay synergistic, we pay for software, we pay a licensing fee for software. So what I did was lined up, the savings versus the expenses and did a net on that so that you would see that. So the savings on the original contract for years 1 through 4 was $2.241 million. The cost of the contract for Synergistics and Energy Cap was $1 million. So our net savings, $1.2 million. So I did a projected savings based on the new contract. And if you'll notice on the projected savings for year 1, 2, 3, and 4, I used 500,000. But if you'll notice, every number on the actuals that we have exceeds 500,000. So my savings is a conservative estimate there. And then we know the exact cost of the contract and Energy Cap. So if you back out the savings, we're projecting 1.1 million as the net savings when you compare expenses of the contract versus our overall savings. So I just wanted to get that to you so that you could digest that information and ask any questions that you may have.
Ms. Person West, you have any questions?
Come back to me.
Ms. Wonkum?
I do. So I just want to make sure I'm clear. The $199.80 Synergistics, the $199,800. That is the $19,700 per month times 12. Correct? That's where you got your math from.
Well, no, the 19,000 times 12 is over in that first box, that 236,000. That was our first contract. The second contract, we actually have a reduction in fee, so that's 16,000. There's a number in that contract. So the 19,000 is our synergistic fee for the first contract that we exercised. Then the next couple of sentences, you'll see a different amount that's a reduction. So the 199 is the 16,000 times 12.
Okay, so our extended fee, because I'm looking at the contract, and that's where my confusion was coming from. So originally we paid $19.70, but because we've been such great customers and we're doing an amazing job, now we're getting a reduced rate at $16,650. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, so then the monthly fee for 108 months would be the $16,650. Correct?
So the 108 months is, so this contract is taking the old contract and amending it to the new. Yes.
Okay, so this will be a 4-year contract.
It's a
so
4-year.
the 4 years, 60 months.
Yes. So if you, I think if you read on down, there's an amendment in there that references the 48-month.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm tracking.
Yes.
Okay. So if I'm doing my math, and you've done it for me, and I appreciate that. So for 1 year, it's going to cost us $215,800.
Yes.
Okay. So in my mind, because we just saw this amazing slide at $51,000 in average salary, and I rounded up, that is 4.2 employees per year that I could hire instead of paying Synergistics. That's where my mind's at right now. So my follow-up to that is, what do you bring to the table that my in-house individuals could be doing at the cost of $215,800 a year, where that could be 4 employees?
It's a good question.
Okay.
So to start with, you, of course, Mr. Glover,
Yes.
you all get the privilege of Mr. Glover.
Yes,
of course,
I love
and you've
Mr.
been
Glover.
with him forever.
We high five.
Been with him forever. Yes. But secondly, and even more importantly, is that Mr. Glover is surrounded by a supporting cast of consultants. We send in, and I don't know that you would necessarily see them here, but engineers and technical support that are experts on your mechanical equipment, the way your buildings operate, and we regularly service the account with consultants. We were just discussing a couple of those reports before we walked in here. And that really is the bulk, along with a technology that we provide so that Mr. Glover can, what we would say is he can conduct intelligent audits. While Robert's fantastic, he's just going to be in your buildings no matter what. His work ethic is incredible. He's one of our best. But what I will say is that the technology that we have allows him to go to the places that need him most because the data is telling him where to go. So it's technology. It's certainly a pretty robust active energy management process that he's very well trained in, and then a supporting cast of engineers and techs that are regularly in your district supporting your HVAC team.
Okay. So my follow-up to that is, does that, bringing in these experts, am I paying on that dime, or is that on your dime?
Well, it's included in your
So that's
services.
the included package
That's
that
right.
we're flying them
Yes.
in. Okay, very good.
Technology and services. And if you need anything in regard to those services, it doesn't just have to be Robert that asked for it. Anybody can ask for those services within the organization through our technology.
Okay. All right. That gives me a base point. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Williams?
No, I was just trying to find out, I know this was gonna come up for a vote, what other board members' concerns are, that need to express them so we can move on with the progress of that. You understand? I want a clarity. And these are the people that are asking it? Okay, that's what I want to know. I don't have any questions for it, because I agree with the initial thing on the agenda. But whatever needs to be said needs to be open so I can hear it and I can know we have to have a special meeting for it.
Ms. Temple?
Okay, so this energy cap, that's the software portion of it?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
is that part of the licensing fee?
Yes, it's a third-party software. It's a software not owned by Synergistic, but it is a third-party software that we purchase that implements and coordinates with the services that Synergistic offers.
So are we purchasing it or are we renting it? Like
We're
if
renting it. It's a
renting
licensing fee. It's a
Okay.
use fee.
Okay,
Yes,
all right,
ma'am.
well, what I wanted to see, this was my concern was, I knew it said we'd saved all this, but I wanted to make sure that when we got the savings, it included the cost of the program, and that's very clear tonight.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I like data. The data speaks here. So thank you for this data.
Yes, ma'am.
You did a great job.
Thank you very much. I'm good.
Thank you.
Okay, I thought of my question now.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot.
I said come back to me.
I'm sorry.
So with this being a 4-year contract, once we're looking at, and we've made those particular improvements that need to be made, and hypothetically speaking, we just have this beautiful, environment-friendly structure of a middle school, speaking it into existence. And so what happens after that? Is that something that we would still have to have synergistics for, or how does that play into that? Or once the 4 years is up, that's done?
So I'll speak to that. So it's sort of a multi-pronged approach and that Synergistics uses. We, of course, work on human behavior, making sure that we, train people to turn things off, to operate efficiently, if you're asking for heat and air for an after-school activity, that we schedule it early, that we schedule at the right times. But then there's also mechanical things that are monitored by the software, the technology that we have. So if there is a machine running that shouldn't be running, there's an alert that goes to Robert. If there's a machine that should be running that's not running, that goes to Robert. So there's a lot of data behind this. So it's an evaluation that we need to make as a district at the end of each contract as to whether to renew or not. And if it makes sense for us, it just tends, if you have someone at the helm running the savings program, you can address equipment. You can't predict when equipment's gonna break down
Right.
or not, perform right. So you've got someone watching it, but then we also have the human aspect that needs constant reminding that here's our energy program, are the expectations, and how to operate within those. So we just should evaluate it every 4 years. But my opinion of that would be, if you at some time don't have the program, human behavior digresses,
That's true.
So.
And so my next question to that, as far as if Robert sees this machine running. Oh, Robert's here.
Robert's here.
Oh, hey. I didn't know they were talking about you, Robert. So anyway, if you see a machine running somewhere, do you have the ability to turn it off by computer or something like that? Okay. And
some way to turn it off.
gotcha. All right. And then also is as far as employees in the district, is synergistic like running like maybe trainings as far as to help the employees or to help them to see exactly, our district employees to see where everything needs to align?
That's been part of our discussion with the ongoing contract, is to bring in, bring in resources for the teachers, for training purposes, but also bring in resources for students to use in the classroom. They have a community outreach program that they've asked us to look at, evaluate, and use as needed. So I don't
Yeah,
want to
absolutely. It's
continue
perfect.
to speak for you, Piper.
No,
but
you're doing a great job.
Okay, all right.
You're doing a great job. So in short, it is what we call synergistic community. We introduced it a couple of years ago. It was in response to the pandemic. What we found is that it's not just constituents, it's also the actual parents in the community and the kids bringing home this information so they can use those same best practices at home. Human behavior, though, is not just for the behavior change isn't just for the teachers. What we've discovered is the most challenging place to change behavior is in maintenance and operations. And so that's why we supply a lot of technicians. So what we've been discussing here is to introduce two aspects. We can bring in our experts, our engineers, to also help with training for maintenance and operations staff if that's required or needed by the district. It's no additional cost. It's part of what you're already paying for. And the other item is community. And it's an awareness program for your students, for your teachers, through clubs. You can use it in your lost learning area as well. But it's also an opportunity to spread the information, best practices to the community to use in their homes, to save energy instead of paying the utility company to actually pocket that and put it back in their budget.
Okay, and then with that being said, have you provided to the school district something that they can maybe something electronically that they can use that's kind of user friendly to kind of go out to the community as far as how we're trying to save energy and everything and kind of make this an around the ballpark type thing?
We absolutely have that
Okay.
right at your fingertips, and we will make sure that Brian has it as well.
Yes.
I think Ms. Wonkum had a follow-up question.
So you made a comment earlier that Robert can modify our
Your schedules, your set
yeah, if we
plans.
left lights on, Robert can take care of that. If we left an AC on, Robert can take care of that. So I'm assuming if we didn't turn on the AC for homecoming, Robert can take care of that. So my question to that is there not someone within our district that can take care of that, or is that something that Robert only can take care of that?
No,
Because
we
again,
have-
I'm coming back to my 4.2 employees, and we're low hanging fruit, and we're trying to achieve our academic. And so I'm just making sure that we're being frugal with our money, that we're doing the right thing, and that we have everyone in place that needs to be in place in order for our children to succeed. I'm all about saving money, but at what cost? And then if that's 4 employees that can help us move a grade level, or if that's 4 employees that can help our 51% kids who are not on task, then I want the money to go there instead of saving $1 million. So help me out.
Okay, so you'll have to answer the question about your current staffing.
Access, Current access, we have both district employees and Mr. Glover that have access to the HVAC system.
Okay.
You know, our district employees work basically during the day.
Right.
But we have a lot of things that events that happen after hours.
Yep.
Where we don't
have
have someone
emergency
working.
situations. Yep.
And Robert takes care of scheduling those. He actually visits the buildings when those events are happening to make sure that people are comfortable and no adjustments need to be made. But then, if you'll recall the audits that were being done after hours, that big green swath of audits that are done, those are done after hours because we're focusing, the savings that we're, you know, that's the meat and potatoes of the program is after hours making sure things that shouldn't be running are not running. And that's equipment on roofs, that's equipment, that's HVAC systems sitting out on the ground, that could be lights in the building, it could be a multitude of things. So while we have a couple of people that work during the day, an HVAC technician and a control specialist that have access to that, Robert has access to it as well because he accesses that after hours. He accesses it during the day too, but
Sure.
He accesses it after hours for those off-schedule, unoccupied times when we are looking to maximize our savings.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I still have a question.
Yes.
Does this resolve all board members' questions they have about the company where we can't have it on the agenda to vote on it? And the superintendent recommended that because we don't need further discussions on it. We just need to, whatever questions we have, we're through with it, so we'll have a clear mind when we come back to vote on it.
If I'm not mistaken, it's going to be on the next.
It will be. It'll be
Yes.
an action item at the,
Yes.
and if there's any questions between now and then, just have each board
Right.
member contact me and we'll get them to Brian and the synergistic team and we'll make sure everybody has all the information they need to cast a vote.
Yeah.
And I just want to add that energy costs are really rising, so it's going to be probably more savings this time than we've had in the past. So we do need to keep that in mind, that
That's correct.
the expense of that is going to get bigger. So I don't want to forget that part of it.
Thank you for your information and thank you for coming.
My
Thank
pleasure.
Thank you. Bonjour.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank
Merci
you.
beaucoup.
We're down to action items, new business, 12.1 employment of personnel.
Madam President, members of the Board of Education, the superintendent recommends the employment of personnel as discussed in executive closed session.
Madam President.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
so move we accept the recommendation of the personnel for point 12.1. Employment of personnel.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that we approve employment of personnel. Being that it is personnel, there can be no discussion, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It has been adopted. 12.2, North Florida School District confirmed career academics.
I
Madam-
so move- oh. I'm trying to get up out of here.
These
I read the
Sta-
packet.
staff members will do a very 30,000-foot view, but I do welcome Miss Amy Jordan, our Executive Director of Secondary School Performance, Dr. Nadia St. Louis, Principal of North Little Rock High School, and Miss Wells, Elizabeth Wells, our Career Academy coach. We just had a long conversation last night about the future vision, Future Ready. You're going to see in real time right here getting presented to you that in action. I will turn it over to Mrs. Jordan.
Yes, good evening again, Board, Madam President, Dr. Ploski, and to the community, thank you again. We will keep this very short and sweet, as we are running quite late into the evening. I do want you to be introduced to my colleagues who are here at the table, and then I will kind of set up what we're going to be talking about very quickly.
I'm Elizabeth Wells. I'm the Career Academy coach for the North Little Rock School District.
And I'm Nadia St. Louis, building principal for the high school.
So we appreciate the opportunity to present to you this evening. We're going to start out with our purpose, which is we're here to just give you a very quick overview, and there'll be more information here that you can dig into, not unlike Ms. McNulty's presentation, about the academies that are going to be in place. We're going to talk both about high school and COE. They've been at the COE. We're adding to the high school, and so you're going to see a comparison of the two. So it can be kind of confusing if you didn't have that background piece. I know I was confused at first. So just information for you to see what's in the works.
So I'm going to start by talking about the North Little Rock High School. Currently, all ninth graders are in the Freshman Academy, and that means that they are completing the Freshman Seminar curriculum. The students were randomly split up into 4 groups: wind, earth, fire, water. The teachers are participating in their professional learning communities. The professional learning communities are by grade level content, where the small learning communities are by teams. So the earth, fire, water, and wind are all meeting. These are the 3 academies that are being offered by the North Little Rock High School. You have the Academy of Health and Human Services, the Academy of Digital, Visual, and Performing Arts, and the Academy of Business, Hospitality, and Future Technology. All of the students in the 9th grade at Freshman Academy will choose one of these programs of study this next year, and they will complete the level 1. I'm going to show you each one of these. I'm going to go through them kind of fast because a lot of them are already in place. The only ones that are not in place are the ones with an asterisk. So all the ones that are bold, they're already existing at the high school. There are some startup costs with those ones that have asterisks there, and so this is that startup cost. But we are in the process right now of writing a startup grant for these costs, and so that first column shows you what the total cost would be to start each one of these programs of study. The second column is the 85% that's funded if that grant is accepted, and then the 15% that would be required for the school to come up with. So the total for all 5 programs would be the $23,492.50 if we get the state startup grant, which that application is due November the 1st. This is a new program of study. I want you to remember that for each one of these, the level 1, the level 2, the level 3, they will complete level 1, their 10th grade year, level 2, their 11th grade year, and level 3, their senior year. They do have the option to change once, to choose a different program of study. They would do that at the end of their 10th grade year or the beginning of their 11th grade year. But that does require them to complete a level 1, level 2 at the same time, so that they can still complete that level 3 by their senior year. This means that when they are graduating, they could have these certifications that are listed on each one of these slides. So on the bottom, it shows that certification. This is our first program of study. It would be pre-educator, and this again is in that Health and Human Services Academy. The next program of study for Health and Human Services Academy is the Nursing Services. This would be offered at both the high school and COE. This is new for the high school, so that's kind of that. The next one is under the Family and Consumer Science Services area. There are 2 programs of study. Both of these are already being taught. There's really no changes here other than it's just going to now fall under Academy. Next, for the Digital, Visual, and Performing Arts, the next 5 programs of study fall under that Digital, Visual, and Performing Arts. First, you have Digital Cinema Productions. The big change here, y'all have heard it as like TV broadcasting. So they did a name change, and now it's called Digital Cinema Productions. And the other big change is that the level 1 is now Media Communications. And you'll see this level 1 for the next 3 programs of study. So that Media Communications does an introductory to all of these. So advertising, graphic design, technology, again, that level 1 is media communications, and then the commercial photography, the level 1 is media communications. But all of these programs are already in place at the high school. These are our performing arts. So we have a strong performing arts. So we have dance as one of our pathways, and then we also have technical theater. The last academy is the Business, Hospitality, and Future Technology. The first program of study, and all 3 programs of study in this academy are new. So the first program of study is banking. The level 1, though, is already being taught. So we are already teaching survey of business. So the kids that sign up for that next year, that's already in place. And then the hospitality and tourism, that again, survey of business is already in place. And then the last one is the data science. This is completely new, so none of that is in place. And this would also meet that computer science graduation requirement. Okay, current and future partners. Our current partners are listed here. Ms. Hatch and I, which y'all have heard from before, I think, she and I are working on increasing the number of partners that we have, and that we have partners in place for every single program of study. So it is something that we've already started and we're working on currently.
Very good. Can I add something real quickly before Ms. Wells talks about the Center of Excellence? When it comes to academies, this is brand new for the high school. So, essentially our current ninth graders will go through an entire program of study. We are really trying to be robust with career tech education and providing ample opportunities for our students. The Career Academy model, COE is already doing a lot of this work. So they're going to do pieces of the Fort NGL model, whereas the high school, this is like, we're doing it wall to wall. So because I know we say academies and like the high school is like doing academies, COE is already doing robust work around career tech. And so I just want to make sure that's delineated so we kind of understand the difference between the two.
So the big piece of that is that even in the core classes, they are going to teach through a lens for their identified academy. Where in COE, they are teaching more just career and technical, and I'm fixing to go over that right here, but they are teaching more career and technical, and they're encouraged to go explore and see every single program of study, where we are really focusing those kids to complete a program of study at the high school. Okay. So there are two academies that they have for the Center of Excellence, and it's the Academy of Health Science and the Academy of Engineering, Technology, and Computer Science. The big thing here, you're going to notice that there's no bold, there's no asterisk. Everything that they have is already in place. There are some changes just from the State Department that I've identified here in the presentation. So biomedical, already in place, no changes. Here, the nursing services and your medical profession, other ones, the level 2 has changed. So it used to be that they were teaching anatomy and physiology. Now it is switching to medical terminology, and it's a full year where they were only doing a semester before. So now they'll do a full year of that. Pharmacy technician, again, level 2 has changed, but that's it. The sports medicine, nothing has changed for this pathway or this program of study. And then this one had a name change. It used to be that, or it was listed in the course catalog as EMT, but now it's called Medical Skills and Services. And again, that level 2 changed. So that level 2, instead of it being anatomy and physiology, it'll be medical terminology. Nothing has changed for criminal justice. Nothing has changed for advanced manufacturing. Nothing has changed for computer science. And nothing has changed for the pre-engineering. These are the current and future partners that Ms. Wisnant gave us. So these are listed. She has partners for every single program of study that she is bringing into her classes. And so in summary, we are adding all of these academies for both the high school and the COE campus, and that we are trying to graduate kids that are college and career ready. Questions?
Take a breath.
I'm like, we're slapping.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I was excited about reading your total program, and I see that everything that they're in, they can be qualified to get a job somewhere.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
that to me is just off the chain.
Yes, ma'am. And we are going to have partners that are going to
And
actually.
banking?
Yeah.
That is good. You know, I mean, it's so much. It's not just everything. But your report I read, it was fabulous. And I did not realize that you all were certifying all these students for every program that they get themselves involved in. So whether they go to college or not, or go where a 2-year, they have a trade.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you all for working to put this together as a great team.
While we're on this end, Ms. Wonka?
Yes, a few things. I love the word grant. Like, I love that word. That's awesome. But hypothetically, if we don't get the grant, have we thought about where it's coming from yet on how to pay for it? And then to follow up with that, we're talking about these calendars and how we're possibly changing the calendars, and how would that affect these classes? And then furthermore from that is we're talking about going from possibly, again, keyword, we're talking about the 90-minute block versus the 7 classes. And again, how would that affect this? So I just want to make sure, zooming out, 30,000 view, have we considered these things while we're implementing this? Because I love this, don't get me wrong, I love this. I love the word grant, I love this. But I just want to make sure that we've thought outside of the box on these other variables that possibly will come down that will be a domino effect. Okay.
I can speak to two of the 3 questions.
Go
So
for it.
one is the calendar. I will say if we are partnering with our local colleges, it will impact what we do in the high school, because the college calendar is very different if you go to year round, and so that's just something we have to think about.
Right.
I know we met with Pulaski Tech, and so they try to accommodate the schools, but they still have to have their students and our students, and so that is just something we have to consider. In terms of the AB block and 90-minute, I will just say with Ford NGL communities, they do recommend schools be on an AB block 80-minute calendar, like school day, in order to implement academies. And we're already doing that work in a lot of schools in the Central Arkansas, because this is not just North Little Rock High School. This is the Central Arkansas. The 4 major school districts are going to this, and some schools are further ahead, and we're in the earlier stages. But it is recommended so more students can get the best bang for their buck, because now we're trying to add more opportunities while also still trying to consider athletics and all these other, band, theater, because we still want students to participate in those things. We want them to do concurrent credit. And so if you go to a 7-period day, that just kind of takes away from some opportunities. Like someone's going to have to pick something over the other, if that makes sense.
Yep, absolutely.
And of course, on the, I'm sorry, the
No, you
funding
go ahead.
piece.
Go ahead.
Okay. We were very hopeful for the grant. We did try to find out if we could see the rate at which they grant those, but we don't have that information.
Sure.
So we would have to definitely get with Mr. Brown, Ms. Ratliff, Dr. Pawlowski. He may be best to address.
$20,000, I'd say that's a drop in the bucket. We'd be able to find that.
There you
But,
go.
you
Okay.
know, I'm confident that we're gonna get the grant.
Well, yeah, my concern would be in worst case
Sure.
scenario, we don't get it because,
Yeah, I mean, we've got professional development money. I think that it wouldn't be a problem.
okay. I just want to make sure that we
Yeah,
thought about
we,
that
we,
variable.
we have a plan B.
I will add something too. So on a couple of those programs of study,
Yep.
you notice we were already teaching the level 1. So it may be that we can rewrite those 2 grants. Like if something happened with those 2, we could get that maybe next year because that level 1's already in place. So we can still teach that level 1 and then try and get the program of study the next year.
Okay, sounds great.
Ms. Person West?
I just like everything I saw in here. I mean, really and truly, if students, at North Little Rock, you have an opportunity to graduate even more prepared for college or either going to work. And I love it because some people don't go to college that first year. That's cool. You can still go to work. I like everything about it, and I am pleased with the new things that's coming with the asterisk. So good stuff. Yeah, good stuff. That's the word I was looking for.
And can I just add something? Something that, I want to make sure that we reiterate and we express as we, roll this out to our community, is this is a change for our students because, right now, a lot of our students in the high school are not in CT courses. And so we want them, we're pushing, but it is required now. Going to academies, that every student in this 9th grade class must pick an academy, must be in a pathway. So there's no I don't want to do that. Nope, we're going to academies. So whether you're in COE or high school, we are going to expose you to opportunities outside of the high school, what is in our community, how we can give back to North Little Rock and Little Rock financially, because we are trying to grow our communities with these opportunities. So we want our parents and the school board and everybody to know it is a change in, this is not a program. This is a transformational model to really help ensure we have opportunities for our students.
So it's starting with this particular freshman class.
Yeah, so these
and
current
then-
9th graders are in the freshman academy. They're in that Ford team, and we're rolling through freshman
Okay.
seminar. We're going to the career fair on November 2nd, so we're exposing them to these careers. And then they're going to pick, I'm picking a major in college. I'm picking this pathway for my next 3 years. And by the time they finish up their, high school time, they should be exposed to, field experiences, field trips, industry certifications, guest speakers. We want to give them a robust opportunities. And even if it's not something they want to go into, in college, it's man, look how much exposure I had to this opportunity in high school.
That was awesome.
And I will also supplement that with, if you kind of go back to the ESSA reports and scores that we're going to get, one of those components for the high school is community service. And so we could probably overlay some opportunities for these students to do some give back that would get those community service hours as well, and that'll improve. That's some some consideration for that as well.
What day was the job fair you said?
The career fair is November the 2nd, and
November
that is
2nd.
again, that's with all
Career
Central
fair,
Arkansas
I'm sorry.
schools. We're going down to the convention center.
Oh, yes, that's gonna be
Yes, and
fun.
all ninth graders, COE and high school.
It is unbelievable. This sounds like a regional that we went to in New Orleans, and that this school had everything, even had a Sonic on the campus, a Burger King on the campus.
We're gonna get there.
And it
was a
this
Chick- it
is
was a
what I'm
Chick-fil-A.
saying.
It was a
They had
Chick-fil-A.
every aspect of a whole community that these kids were involved in. And this man, principal, has traveled nationally to show off. And I'm so glad to see that we are supposed to be taking care of all of our students. And if we can get them into these academies, everybody can walk out the front door and have a job in their hand.
And we're also thinking bigger. We want to have banks in our schools to where our kids can, be bank tellers
Right,
and
I
go
saw
work
that
at
banking
we
account
want
y'all
those
have.
we want
That's what
those
I
great
read.
opportunities for our students. So we've got, big plans hopefully in place, and we appreciate the support.
Your partnership makes a world of difference.
It does.
And that's what'll benefit you all. But I love it.
Ms. Dimple?
Okay, just so I understand, tonight, we're voting on 23,000, or are we voting on the 156,000?
You're voting to, for us to be able to implement the career academies. There are some new courses that were mentioned. That's part of your role as a Board of Education when we roll out the program of study, which is gonna come after this, you'll approve that as well. But we're seeking your approval to go forth and implement. We've named the academies and to move forward to implement in the following school year.
Okay, so we're basically saying we're up to 156, we're good with this, let's go.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Then, let me see, just so I understand the difference in what we're doing with the freshman academy and the COE. Basically, the freshman academy are kids who probably may go to college and stuff, they don't know, but they're gonna be trained in a job along with while they're training, to go on to other things. And the kids in the COE, they've kind of ruled out, they don't wanna go to college, they're really career focused.
No.
No,
No.
no.
Well, I don't
So-
know.
That's
I
okay.
mean,
It's-
there's-
it's-
No, that's a good question.
Because it
Yes.
seems like
Like I
there's
said,
so
it can be
much-
confusing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So COE allows their students to explore all of those options. So when we looked
Oh,
at
okay,
that,
okay.
when we
I
looked
get
at
it,
all
okay.
of those programs, they can go do as many of them as they want. And they are not really making them stay in that lens. They're also not teaching their core classes through a lens of that academy. They're just
Okay.
teaching their core classes.
Okay, all right, that
Where,
makes sense.
where this will be that transformational
Okay.
model.
All right, I just wanted to, because they're so similar, it's like, why do we have two?
Right.
And I knew there was a reason.
Right.
So
Right,
okay,
right.
now, all right.
So essentially,
understood.
Nadia is on the win team this year, and in January of next year, I'm gonna pick what academy I'm in, and I want to be in the Academy of Health and Human Services, and that will be and then I want to do pre-educator because I want to be a teacher. So I'm gonna be in that pre-educator pathway. We're raising the roof. We're all about that life. My sophomore, junior, and senior year, and my teachers in that academy, when they're teaching the core classes, they're gonna have conversations and guest speakers that teach through the lens of that academy.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the difference. It's very much laser focused with one pathway, and COE offers multiple pathways with their charter school experience for the students.
Okay, all right, that makes more sense, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. McLean?
I've been waiting to see this. I am so thrilled that this is happening. Years ago, we started talking about academies, and then we talked some more, and then we talked some more.
We're tired of
and
talking.
Finally, we stopped talking. And so I am absolutely thrilled that we are following through with this. I think it's
Yes.
wonderful. And our students and our community are going to benefit from this.
I'm excited. I just have one question. I'm just curious. Is there a way to follow it, our ninth graders? So when they graduate, whatever path they chose, is there a way for at least the next year to see?
So I
What
can
happened?
talk on this too. We are required, there's Perkins funding, and so part of Perkins funding is how we get funding for our CTE classes. We're required to track whether they go to college or whether they go into the career force, kind of what they do afterwards. And so a lot of our counselors will collect that data, and then we kind of put that into a report that we turn in.
Because I was just thinking about the teacher part of it is I love it when our students come back.
Yes, yeah.
And so that's why I was wondering if we could track them.
Sure.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
Can I add one more
Uh-oh.
thing?
Hold on. Ms.
No,
Walker.
the only thing I wanted to add is if you see the connection between last night, talking about the vision, beginning with the end in mind, this is setting that up. And now we're going to back map all the way down into elementary, middle, but I'm so proud of
Parents,
all
pay
of them.
attention. Pay attention, parents. Stay engaged.
Someone
Miss-
put it, you
Mi-
asking for a motion?
It's
Well,
happening.
first, Ms. Wonkum had
Can
a,
I ask one more question? I know.
Oh,
I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead, 2 or 3.
So what happens with our current 10th, 11th, and 12th graders?
So they are going to go to school like they normally do.
Yeah.
And they're going to be able to take electives like they normally do.
Yep.
We're just not doing the CTE focus where the academies will really focus those pathways and those completion.
Will they have the opportunity, or not the opportunity, will they have the option?
Yes,
Thank
so
you.
I'm gonna
The other
say
O word.
that they won't necessarily be in an academy per se, but all of these CT courses, we want to be able to, provide to some of our students in 10th through 12th grade. So of course, we'll have to look at our master schedule and everything like that, but we still want, if there's a 10th grader and we have room and they want to be doing pre-educator, 11th grader, we want to still promote those opportunities because yes, as an elective for our students.
Perfect.
But when it comes to the academies and like really rolling out the focus, it is with the class of 2026 and taking them through. But we are going to still promote. We're going to have a showcase, and we want all of our parents to see what we're offering at the high school and for the COE campus.
Very good.
Madam President.
Yes.
I so move that we accept the, standby, the confirmed career academies. I had to get back to it.
Second.
it has been properly moved and second that we approve the North Florida School District confirmed career academies. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It has been adopted.
Nice meeting you.
Congratulations.
ladies.
Thank you
so
all.
much.
Thank you,
One
ladies.
Great job.
Thank you, ladies.
May I answer one question? Ms. Wells, are you over the 9th, 10th, and 11th, 12th grade as
So
a coach?
I'm the career academy coach for both the high school and COE.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good.
Yes,
Pleased to
She's
meet
doing
you.
a great job.
Thank you.
Madam President,
12.3 Chrome.
I so move that we accept 12.3, the Chromebook order, that we've already gone through the details.
Second.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that we accept the Chromebook order, that we have all the details. Any further any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It has been approved and adopted. We're down to 12.4, the 2022-2023 North Florida Board of Education revised meeting dates.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, the superintendent recommends a revision to the 2022-2022 Board of Education meeting, specifically to not have a board meeting on June 1st because that will be our graduation date.
But just for clarity, that's not a meeting, it's a workshop.
It's a workshop.
Because we have to have the regular board meetings, but we don't have to have the workshops. But since we approved and voted on the dates, we've never done that before, but since we voted and it's in the record, we have to vote again to change it.
Madam President, I so move that we accept the North Little Rock Board of Education revised meeting dates.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that we accept the approved revised meeting dates. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It has been changed. We're down to 12.5, disposition of special meetings.
Madam President,
Yes, ma'am.
I so move that we accept the disposition of special meeting minutes on October 6th, 2022.
Second.
It has been properly moved and second that we accept the disposition of special meeting minutes from October the 6th. Any discussion?
Oh, man.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It has passed. Consent agenda 12.1, 13.2, 13.3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Madam President,
Yes, ma'am.
I so move that we accept 13.1, 13.2, 13.3, 13.4, 13.5, 13.6, and 13.7 on the consent agenda, which will include the bank reconciliation, the monthly financial reports, the business office, the payment regular, the facilities use, the net legal balance worksheet, and the approval.
Second.
It has been properly moved in second that we accept approve the consent agenda that has been listed. All those in favor say, any discussion, I'm sorry?
Nope.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any disapprove? It has been adopted. Our future meetings, the next board workshop is November the 3rd, and then don't forget about election, and then a regular board meeting is November 17th. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam President,
Yes, ma'am.
I so move that we adjourn.
Second.
Oh, they cut off the mic? Oh,
We're out.
I so move is that